Res ipsa loquitur.
Maybe in the last minute of your life you want to be something more than a goddamn savage!
Annunciare mendatio. Ego sum homo indomitus.
You like this? Oh, you like being food for the immortal?
What is happening, my savage friends? You are listening to the voice of Immortal Coil, your oracle of whiskey mysticism. Revolution is my name. It is 11:07 p.m. West Coast Seattle, Saturday, July the 27th, 2024, and it is time, my friends, to get savage. Yes, unleash the beast, be yourselves, pull up a chair. I want to say hail to the chat. Of course, we have the mighty RR, loyal soldier, always in the chat. We got a couple of lurkers who haven't quite sounded off yet. So whether you are listening to this live or listening it into the replay, lift high whatever it is you are imbibing and join me in the savage salute. Here's to us, what is like us, and not a goddamn thing. Yes, tastes like a man's responsibility, right? I'd like to remind everybody that the Savage Show is not for children. Viewer discretion is advised. This broadcast does contain copywritten content. However, under the Fair Use Act, Section 504C, Chapter 17 of the United States Code, the content is offered in the veins of critique, analysis, social commentary, and or subjective opinion. You pick one. We have a decent show for you guys tonight. I'm actually in a much better place than I've been in the past few weeks. My good buddy ShellbackTJC, if you are on X or Twitter or whatever the fuck it's calling itself now, swooped through and said, hey man, pull up a fucking rug and rest your head, get your head out of the fucking dirt. So I am once again within four walls, hopefully for a little bit longer this time, and hopefully that whole being a bum thing is behind me. Speaking of bums, I'd like to introduce you guys to my co-host, the redoundable, the legend precedes his name, my favorite pagan and yours, author Stephen Walton, aka LODONIS Dragonstorm. How you doing,
Hail,
sir?
going well, sir. Hail the chats. What's going on, brothers and sisters? It is good to see you. I am LODONIS, Raven Wolf Dragonstorm, you seer and sage. Hail to my fellow survivors and thrivers out there. You're cracking me up over here, dude. First off, you don't say my life as a bum is over. Look, listen, don't do that. You don't admit that shit online. What are you doing?
Right.
Did you not learn
to be a bum?
Did you not learn from Steve Walton from like 2021 to 2023 not to say shit online about your life? Did you not learn?
Well, it's easier now to laugh at it because I mean I was telling everybody that I lived behind a wall in the woods, and that's literally the truth. But it's
sir, you were bum chic, all right. You were you were not by an oil drum. You were not.
I was
beneath an underpass.
I was homosexual.
You were homosexual. You, sir, you were. The phase were about you.
They were, dude.
Yes.
I mean, we've been talking about that. It's funny. I don't think they followed me into town. I think they happily saw.
They're not following you to shells. They're not following you to shellbacks. All right, that is the only person on YouTube shorter than me. They see him as his own.
That's true. That is true. I wonder who would measure up. You guys actually met in real life, didn't you?
We did. We met together at a Geeks and Gamers meetup. Oh, God, was it last year sometime in Florida? And we took a picture together, holding each other, of course, as real men do. Behind, yes, with Nerdrotic in the background, but it was his back. It was just Gary's back. It wasn't. He was too busy with other people, like fuck us plebs. So we took a picture with his back.
Mr. 1 million subscribers, man. He is fucking killing it.
Gary's fucking amazing. That is where I want to get to, dude. I want to get to the point. So YouTube, for me, is not growing fast enough. But I went to Instagram and TikTok because it's really easy for me to work over there. I'm taking clients. I am now coaching people.
Nice.
Yeah, man. I've taken the next step, taking it to the next level. And so that's where I'm gathering my clients, and I'm blowing up. Over 1,000. Got over 1,000 on Instagram in the last week, and I'm almost 5,000 over on TikTok. And those people ask me questions like, when you talk about mirroring the narcissist, what do you mean? And I say, go to my channel, go to my YouTube channel where I have tons of long form videos about that very subject. And now I've gotten 100+ subs on YouTube. So
that's killer. So it's cross-pollinating itself.
Cross-pollinating. You got to figure out what you do, right? Like, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but if you are a YouTuber who makes a certain type of content that YouTube is going to, promote, then do that. But for me, it is much easier to do 1 to 3, sometimes 5-minute videos for those guys. And then I just put them together, and I put together a 3-topic video for YouTube. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Well, you started talking about that in the DMs, and I actually went over and created a TikTok, and I had a big charge against it for a long, long time because I thought it was just nothing but like chicks shaking their tits. And
listen, and a lot of it comes from, because we kind of come from the same social circles. We started kind of on this, a lot of it comes from haters hating. A lot of it, I'm not trying to I'm not talking shit about anybody specifically. All I'm saying is that it comes from people hating success. Haters just hating, and so like they're like, I don't like TikTok, for whatever they'll make up whatever reason, China, whatever the fuck. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, TikTok first off allows more free speech on that platform than any of the others, and Instagram's pretty good too, and they don't regulate you, and they don't suffocate your algorithm like they do on YouTube. It's a wonderful place to learn and expand. It's different.
It is different. So I typically used my Instagram as more of like a personal place, but then once I figured out that I was going to be on YouTube and all that kind of shit, I started trying to take care of it a little bit more and make it a little bit more exciting, I suppose.
So Instagram right now is connected to Threads and Facebook, right?
Yeah.
I have been growing Threads. I have not gone to Threads and posted a single thing. But because I'm posting on Instagram, it automatically goes to Facebook, and then it goes to Threads. So I'm growing on Threads and getting people from there. And then a lot of the Instagram followers will share your stuff on their Facebook. It's only a 30-second clip, but that's picking me up speed. Dude, the first video where I talked about male narcs putting things up their ass is now up, dude, is over 250,000 views.
Holy shit, Steven.
brother. It's like, I think it just costs $350,000, and it's catching mad traction over there. And
you should have talked about man ass earlier.
I was trying to. Bro, listen, I am so fucking healed right now, Coil. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. Like I said, the people we worked with in the past, all of them, right? And I'm saying all of them, I'm not sussing anybody out. With the exception of people that I know are good people, I don't give a fuck what any of them think. I don't give a shit.
You can't.
I don't give a damn. I am growing.
I was talking with Shellback about that. We were watching some video where this lady got all butthurt because somebody like questioned her scruples or whatever, and she has, I mean, most young females can get followers. It's not a big deal, but I'm sitting there thinking, like, you got to have a thick skin in this industry, man.
You have to. And so what I've noticed, due to the content that I'm doing though, bro, I've had 2 female narcissists come at me on my Instagram. Yeah. Because the thing is right, male narcs will talk shit now and again, but women are more communicative by nature. And so when you take that to the toxic degree with narcopaths or narcissistic women, sociopathic women, then and psychopathic women, histrionic too. If you take that to that degree, antisocial too. If you take it to that degree, then when they see a video where I'm talking about narcissistic women and I am talking about these goblins the way they deserve to be talked about, they see themselves in it. All toxic people get offended by authenticity, right? That's why I've triggered a lot. That's why I've triggered a lot of people. I understand that now because there's a lot of fake people. So these hypergamous, feminist type women come through, and no, as a matter of fact, dude, it was a video. You know what? It was a video where I was being positive for men. I was saying, look, I was like, look, these female narcs. Think of it this way. You know what I mean? By the time they hit the wall, they're gonna look for that. They're gonna look for a sociopathic bad boy who's gonna treat them worse than they treated every damn man in their life,
or a beta simp to fund their lifestyle.
Well, and that's exactly it. If they don't find a beta simp, and so I mentioned it, and I said, you as men, I was like, listen, your value rises with age. You look better as you get older, and if you're on point and you acquire money, I said you're well off. You're naturally better well off than women as we age if we do what we have to do. That's not to disparage women. It was in the context of don't worry about that narcopath from your past because she's going to hit 40 and fall the fuck apart and find somebody worse than her. So this narcissist chick came through the chat and was just like, oh, you're really, you must have gone through something horrible in your childhood because you're very insecure and your misogyny is showing. And I clowned the fuck out of her. I clowned the fuck out of her to a 30-second clip.
Guilt, and then
bro, right, bro. Listen, so I came at her. This is how you treat these narcs. So I responded to her and I was just like, yo, I was like, hi, narc. The first thing I said was, hi, narc. You know, and I said something to the effect of, I know that things are starting to slow down for you as you're hitting middle age. I said, so let me tell you this: get some cats, a bottle of wine, and forego the sociopathic bad boy. That's my advice for you. Have a good day. And then I took that, and then I scratched out her name and I put it as a video for a 30-second video to Straight to Uranus for the bloody stools. This chick went off.
That's how you have to do it, man. A lot of these chicks are self-obsessed and
hypergamous.
Yeah, and once their face and ass fall apart, they don't know what to do because they're suddenly not getting the attention, and that vacuum just drives them nuts.
It does, but that is only for toxic women. You see some beautiful 40s and 50s women in their 40s and 50s out there, beautiful because their souls are garbage.
Yeah, there's probably some listening to this right now.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
Julian, I see you.
Right. Oh, hey, Jill. Right, beautiful girl. That's a one. Sean Howerton, Coach Howerton out there looking gorgeous.
He's amazing.
That's because these women take care of themselves. They're not garbage people. They're not trying to destroy others. They're not like they don't have a body count that equals the digits in the median income of an American family. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and it's they have respect for themselves, so they're able to respect other people. You know.
Yeah.
And truthfully, like back in the day, like how chaste a woman was a direct indicator of her value, and that's we're talking about youth and women being born up front with their value. That's back when you know, like in pagan times and shit, when they'd marry off their daughters at like 15 or 16.
But and at the same time, Coil, and I know you'll understand this, there, because we humans have, there's various types. There's a mainstay, and then there's various types. We also in the past had sacred whores. We also in the past had sex goddesses who, in the term of that, understood their sacral energy, knew how to cleanse it, knew how to protect it, knew, you know what I mean? Like, so it isn't,
there wasn't
for me,
all that sort of baggage connected to the sexual
exactly. So I mean, even a woman who is highly sexually active in her life, if she's a sacral being, can still be a good person and not spreading STDs and manipulating people and being a piece of shit. But women like the one I clowned.
It's just this day and age where attention is equal to, you know,
it is
monetary value and social media.
It is the same. It is the same reason as why people are really like getting tired of fags nowadays. Okay, it's not real gay people's fault. It's not, because gay rights happened in the 80s and 90s. Gay rights took place, right?
Like the political kind of, you know, loud idiots. You know, there's a difference between that and like actual gay normal people. I ain't got
a problem with. I'll have no problem with. Do what you do as long as you hurt and harm none. Do as thou will. Exactly. I have no problem with gay people. I have no problem with lesbians. I have no problem with transsexuals. I have no problem with bisexuals. I have no problem. Anyway, dude, you could put you can put a stuffed unicorn up your ass. If you're a good person, do you, boo? I don't give a shit what you're doing. But it isn't those, right? They turned that movement into an attack on the rest of everyone. Yes, so we had. So the reason female narcissism is growing by leaps and bounds because we had what you call feminist movement back in the early 1900s. It was called women's suffrage, and women's suffrage got them the right to vote, to own businesses. Not that they couldn't before that under certain circumstances, but it wasn't equal. And then it became the bra burning shit in the 50s, which is all right, whatever, women acting out. But by the time it hit the 70s, this movement became feminism, and it became toxic. It became something very toxic. So now we have a bunch of hypergamous women out there who are very hateful of men and think they do no wrong. Their shit doesn't stink. And it is it's caused a rise in narcissism among them. And so
absolutely.
And I point it right out. These bitches think that they come at Dragonstorm with some fucking hypergamy. I'm gonna go turn around and hit that narc in the head. I'm the motherfucking narcissist slayer. I'm whipping out my dick. This is, look at this. Here, look at this. You know what I mean?
Like, and that's what I do. Penis.
Right. And I won't do that with the male narcs, because male narcs are actually gay. So I don't want to do that. I'm hiding my dick from that.
There you go. Well, so be sure to go check out Steven for more on this narc stuff, because he's doing some real work out there and apparently gaining traction finally.
Well, we know what the biggest, one more thing before we go on, the biggest thing that I have heard since with this blow up is I talk about topics other coaches don't, other creators don't. And that's what I'm talking about, those things that other people don't want to touch, and that's why I'm getting attacked a lot. And it's fine, but I will tell you that male narc, all right, if he's semantic and he's abusive to you and he's a hitter and he's asking you to peg him, honey, he's at the truck stop banging gay Tony. Okay, and he's coming home with butt butter. And I have had thousands, Immortal Coil, thousands of comments from women who have gone through the same type of narcissists that I was triangulated with.
It's crazy the kind of damage that's out there, man. And it's just like a symptom of society's huge problem with its relationship to itself. You know, having been close to the earth recently, I've gotten quite a good sample population of different people that I would interact with. And I mean, we were joking about like being like the elitist homeless guy kind of thing.
You absolutely were.
But there's a real need for that, because and I'll even talk to people who were like, I was homeless like 15 years ago and it's different now because of all the drugs and all that kind of weird shit. Like I didn't want to relate to my fellow man, even if he occupied a similar economic station. But I did last week have an opportunity to be like hobo Jesus to one of those guys, and it was
you're my hero.
It was interesting,
Coil.
man. Yeah,
You're
I'm out
my
there.
hero.
I'm out there changing lives, one homeless guy at a time. But and it's weird though, brother, because these people and whether it's a result of their chemical predilections or their living situation or lack thereof, they don't come across as having all their fucking crayons in the same box. They talk fast and they're twitchy but I had this guy that I got off the bus and I was trying to go inside of a Jack in the Box, but the Jack in the Box I was trying to go inside of was locked. So he's like, "Hey, are you hungry or something?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And he goes, "Well, I got an EBT card, so I'll buy you a sandwich from the fucking Chevron." And I'm making him sound a lot more like put together than he was. He was kind of like, "Hey man, hey man, are you okay? Are you hungry? Do you need some food?"
Oh,
yeah, something kind of like that. That was nice.
Yeah.
So we started just kind of like talking loosely, and he was telling me about how because I was talking about how I don't really talk to other homeless guys because of all the reasons I just laid out, and he's like, "Yeah, I can understand that. There's a lot of weirdos out there, and to tell you the truth, I don't talk to a lot of them because the stuff that I think about isn't stuff that they like to talk about." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, I don't consider myself a Christian because I have a couple of problems with the way that it's presented." And I was like, "Well, that doesn't matter. Jesus wasn't a Christian either." And he just started laughing. He was like, "Oh my God, I never thought about that." I was like, yeah. I was like, and so I was like, "So what's on your mind?" I'm one of those guys that you can talk to about that kind of stuff. I didn't tell him like I flew on UFOs and shit, but he starts going, "Well, I was thinking that if God made the universe and he created it as a stage and people are, just walking around, that there has to be something more to like energy and thought and consciousness than what we hear in the Bible or what we get out of the pulpit." And I was like, "That's a very astute observation." And to tell you the truth, a lot of what they've discovered in quantum physics matches particularly with like the Vedas and the Upanishads, how they're talking about the nature between thought and the effect that it has on reality. But then we went through this whole thing, and I was like, the reason that you don't jive with Christian leadership is because it's not really Christian leadership. It's Rome. And Rome saw an opportunity to remain in power, so it took that opportunity. And
they're still pagans,
and they still are.
They're still pagans.
You look at all the shit that the Pope holds on to, like his fucking staff and like that pine cone shit. You see the throne he sits on. You see all the ceremonies and holidays that they've taken from your people, Stephen.
Oh, absolutely, and they also have a shit ton of demigods and idols.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
They pray to everybody else before they'll pray to God or Jesus.
Right.
Which is strange because they say that there's only one God.
People need to really, just off topic, just to segue just a tiny bit. People really need to get the idea out of their head that God, quote unquote, God, is an old dude sitting in the clouds counting how many times you masturbate. They right? Okay, listen, okay, because the contradiction here is, okay, if there is a one singular creator who is like that, all right, all pure, all good, right? This dude made Satan. This dude made Satan. This dude made pedos. This dude made narcissists. This dude, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so and the way that like the fuckery that goes on in these Abraham's minds when they somehow just forget that aspect of it and go, well, no, that's different. That's different. That's the devil. God made the devil. God made Satan. What the fuck are you talking about? They need to start. If you're going to start looking at a one God, you need to look at him like one of my favorites, Janus, the god Janus, Roman god, by the way. And Janus was beneficent and maleficent. He was both. All right. He was right. He would be your best friend one day, but he had a psycho switch. He was bipolar, and he could switch into bipolar and then fucking murder your whole family. that is more true to what God is, if you're looking at it through a singular lens, than what the idea of Yahweh is.
Well, yeah. So I mean, you had something that was like at one point a living flesh and blood creature that came and did shit, but then you had it sort of like anthropomorphizing different natural effects until it turned into this whole like sky daddy thing. Then not only that, but a lot of the fucking religion came out of Egypt, and you know what Egypt was.
Horus is king. That's what Horus is king. Yes.
Yeah. And
the progenitor to Christ.
And just to prove it, how does every Christian in their prayer? They call it a Roman. They call it an Egyptian deity.
Amen Ra.
Yeah. Amen Ra. The absent God. So.
Oddly enough, I'm sorry, Amen Ra was the first documented monotheistic cult in modern times.
True. And that was King Tut's dad that came up with that, and he was an interesting fellow. I strongly think that he was either a half extraterrestrial or a full extraterrestrial. Look at the shape of that guy's cranium. Look at his body proportions. Look at the things that he believed, and even like the shape of his like nose and lips and shit. You know.
Can someone say Anunnaki?
There you go. Akhenaten, that was the guy's name.
Akhenaten.
It's definitely worth looking up, but you know, and I was talking about this with the homeless guy too. Like, I don't typically go around specifically seeking to burst Christians' bubbles, not unless they're like rude or disrespectful. Because
if they're narcissistic,
most of them are pretty nice people, and they just want to help out when they can and do their thing. But when it's like the holier than thou thing, you're going to turn me into immortal. I know more about your Bible than you do, Coil.
Dude, as soon as they come at me with my God's dick is bigger than your God, or I can treat you evil all day long because my God said so. Like, you pray the wrong way, you're icky. Like, I'm fucking right. I'm going to hammer him. I'm going to hammer him with some truth.
Yeah, totally. You know, but it was nice to just have a open-minded conversation with somebody who mostly had it figured out and just kind of needed another puzzle piece to play with. And that's, who knows? I mean, he could have gone into a ditch and smoked meth like later that day, but at least for that 15 minutes, we were both on the same page.
Bro, let me drop something. Let me do the same for you.
Let's do
that. That could have been an angel.
Could have been.
That could have been an angel. Yeah, absolutely. It could have been an angel. That's how angelic forms will appear in that way. I've had angels appear to me. Whenever I just
made my fucking chakra vibrate. I felt that. My hair standing.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, let me tell you the story. Let me tell you, or remind you of the story of the angel that visited me when I was sitting in my van. The second time I went back up north to go deal with Narcex, and I'm sitting at the Wawa, and I'm thinking to myself, I want to blow my brains out. And this homeless dude walks up to me and tells me the story about how he just got out of jail. He was put in jail falsely because his girlfriend Ashley, had triangulated him with bikers.
Sounds familiar.
All he was trying to do was take care of her and her daughter Brooklyn. And I kid you the fuck not. I kid you not, dude. And then told for 20 minutes, I must have said 6 words. He told me this whole story about how he's not going to take revenge, and he's going to be a better person, and he's going to leave that behind him, and he's not going back, and he's going to go do this and work on himself and get things done. And it was an angel, bro.
They just held the fucking mirror up to you, man.
Yes, bro. Even the names of the bikers he was talking about were the same as the ones that I was triangulated with.
That is, and
crazy spooky.
Here on the Savage Show, we're kind of used to spooky shit happening, but it still doesn't stop us from gazing at it in awe. Just because when you see the synchronicities, you know them for what they are. You understand what meaning they hold in a very literal sense, and you're just like, this is evidence of the hand of God, or whatever you want to fucking call it.
Brother, listen, I'm telling you, this is pure intuition for me right now. When you're telling me that story, listen, that dude came to you to feed you because it created trust and you needed it. And then he reflected in you how you feel about others. I can't talk to normal people or muggles because they don't understand my level. He talked to you about that. He showed you and let you do what you love to do, which is impart knowledge. He had made an exchange. Something in that exchange was meant for you. That was all meant for you. I guarantee you that was an angel.
I have weirder things have happened to me, dude. If I'm hanging out with the Fae and flipping it to Mrs. E.T., then
dude,
why not hang out with angels?
Listen, man. Listen, you're gonna help me bang alien broads, okay? And I'm gonna open you up to Gaia. All right. And
there you go.
And the thing about that is, and that's what you've been doing. That's the path that you've been on.
Yeah.
You know, like everything from your interaction with the Fae to this instance you just told me, there are lessons in everything. There are underlying lessons in everything that we encounter in this life. They're doors, and they're here to make us give us lessons, or give us the opportunity to connect with our fellow being, our fellow in the collective consciousness, and impart our knowledge to them. But it's always an exchange. Always.
Well, and needless to say, like this whole time, I'm hearing an echo. Did you hear it? Okay.
No, I'm good.
It went away.
Okay.
This whole time that I was displaced, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, I really asked myself, like, I understand the economic situations and like the events that led up to it, but like, what's the place for it in my life? What am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be extracting from this whole thing? And I really started meditating on this idea of like the ancient wandering sages of yesteryear, like back when it was more common to have guys like Apollonius of Tyre and, you know, Yeshua and, you know, Mithras or whoever the fuck. And they did end up getting conglomerated into a singular character, but the need for those people in the day and the age that they lived in was very necessary. And I started thinking about like the decline of our modern society. Like you're saying, narcissism is rampant. People are more selfish than ever. Nobody wants to share anything. Nobody wants to have deep, serious conversations. People don't even want to like go out on dates and get married anymore, man. Dude, I mean, so fucking burned.
Well, I mean, we're suffocated when you talk about spiritual warfare. All right, and honestly, like I know there's been good Abrahams out there, people who have, you know, good Christians, good Muslims, good Jews, people with good intentions, but it's suffocated and stifled our spiritual growth under monotheistic theocracal rule. You know, the ancients understood the reason that they were polytheistic is because the ancients understood vibrational energy. They understood our connection to source. You went to a certain temple. Pyramids. They knew how to build fucking and it wasn't the Egyptians that did that. No. You know, it's right that they were the children of the people that survived the flood. Or the floods, excuse me.
They had the record, the knowledge, and all that shit's underneath the sphinxes.
The Emerald Tablets of Thoth, man.
Yeah, I read that the Sphinx was supposed to be a representation of him. They just like created it during the age of Leo, so he's anthropomorphized as that.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah. This is why I like talking to Steven people, because like he's the only one that gets this shit.
I love that's why I talk to you. Listen, but when it goes back to vibrational energy, if you wanted to, you know, a certain type of energy, you went to a certain temple. Those temples, those priests and priestesses served a specific. The oracles, they served a specific function. So if you take all of those functions, and you pile them all into one sacred space, you're not going to find that vibration. What the monotheists did, what the monotheists understood, because Rome taught them this. What the monotheists understood is that if you suffocate all of these vibrations into one direction, then you create this muffled disconnect from the higher power, while being able to direct them from one pulpit, one direction. Okay, I'm not saying that however you believe is however you believe, but if you're stuffing yourself in a church and praying to Jesus, you know, Horus is king, and and looking at the one God in a singular view, you are being funneled
Yes.
into one direction. You are not connecting with source in
Think
in
about
the
it. For
broadest sense.
for hundreds of years, people couldn't even read the Bible because they didn't know Latin, and they were just.
Well, they weren't allowed to. Knowledge is power, and they learned that
is.
from the Druids. They learned that from the ancients because
Yeah.
the Druids did the same thing. You had to go to college. People think like the pagans were dumb. No.
Nah.
There were 3 levels of schooling for Druidism, and you could get to the second tier and stop. The second tier itself, the Ovid, was a complete class unto itself. Your Bard, your Ovid, and your Druid. Druids knew it all, but they were like the jack of all trades. Your Bards knew all the history, all the song spells, all the land, your Ovids were specialists at herbology, at writing. And the Druids didn't even write. They used Greek, by the way. Yeah, people in Britannia and Gaul used Greek. Imagine that.
Right.
And this is why you have leaves of a book. We have terms like long library, leaves of a book, because the Druids wrote through leaves. Their records were held in buildings that had long strings, and on those strings were the collection of all the 23 types of plant life, the leaves that they put up there, who all represented a letter. Not only did they just represent a letter, they represented an idea, and they represented a god and a power. So the way that they wrote was all spell.
So I was thinking about that because certain ETs will send you thought form in terms of symbology, and as a thought form, you can rotate it in 3D space, and it all the little nooks and corners and turns and curves really represent an entire concept. So you can send like essentially a whole volume of encyclopedia with just 1 or 2 little symbols. And it's sort of a shorthand, because like otherwise using mental telepathy is like it's like you literally are feeling what the other being is feeling and understanding what they want you to understand, but it's languageless. It's not like I was talking to my daughter about that. I was like, yeah, it's not like you sit here and formulate an English sentence in your head and send it to them, and then they formulate an English sentence and send it back. You get it all at once. It's like an idea or an intuition, or I called them thought packages for a long time. But then I started reading Darth Bane, and they have a thing called a thought bomb. So I didn't want to.
That's really cool. Hey, a lot of my spiritualism came from my love for Star Wars.
Yeah,
I get it.
Well, there's a lot of it's a universal idea enough, the idea of the Force, that it doesn't require a lot of explanation. And unfortunately, the people who are steering all that shit at Star Wars right now don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Nah, they don't.
It's very close to truth, man. And I think that's why so many people responded to it in such a visceral way.
Because how many different religions did Lucas take from to create the Jedi?
A lot.
You know what I mean? Lots, right? It's a universal truth. Your light side, dark side, man. I've used that same idea forever.
Absolutely.
Wait till we do my birth chart tomorrow night, Coil. Oh my God. I love
that. Yeah, we got to tell the audience about that. Why don't you go ahead and do a send up for it real fast?
So I've been on TikTok. I've been over on TikTok and Instagram building up my client base. While I've been doing that, I came across a woman who is Scottish, currently living in Greece, who does not only does astrological charts, but not only does natal charts, but she also understands several different types of disciplines that she brings together. She calls herself
Jillian?
No. Her name is Teamy. Her name is Teamy. And she is a splendic projector. I didn't even know what that meant. Right? Okay. So I'm educated. So as she was talking and telling me about her narc, and then telling me about how she used her abilities to suss out the monkeys and figure shit out, I was like, I've done the same thing. I'm a spellcaster and a psychic, and so we began to meet on that level.
An alien.
And my best friend fucks alien. So right, but listen, this is the cool thing. So I went from like trying, because I'm creating a rapport, I'm trying to get a client. I went from trying to get money to an exchange of information. Yeah. Right. I'm like, let's barter. I will coach you you know, and be there for you, be your best friend, you know, while you're going through this. If you will do my natal chart and you will explain to me the things.
Yes.
So she began talking about all these different things. She asked me for my birth date and all that stuff, and I gave it to her, and she disappeared for a few hours and gave me this chart. We're going to go over that tomorrow on LODONIS Dragon Storm. We're going to do Sage and the Savage tomorrow. Narcissistic abuse recovery heroes will be returning next week. We're going to cover Danish, who's a wonderful creator. But this week, we're going to go over the birth chart, because Coil, just to sum up a little bit. First off, I am a manifester. All right. This is her information. I'm a manifester. I am descendant from kings and pharaohs. She said there's only 5% of us in the world. I'm a natural leader. And right now, I can't verbatim tell you all the things, but just a couple things that you're totally going to see. I'm not even going to ask you if you agree, because you're just going to know. First, so the positioning of my chart states that I prefer honesty. If a person is not honest, I am of the mind, why the fuck can't you just be honest? I do not like liars, and I do not like deceitful people. Now check this out. My Aries cusp, my Aries Taurus cusp. My Venus and Mars are both in Aries,
and they're okay. So my Venus is in Taurus, and then my Mars is in Aries, and those are both their home.
Well, my
agents.
Yeah, my rising and ascendant are Taurus.
Yeah. So they say your moon sign is more like your secret personality, whereas your sun sign is your overt personality. So my moon is in Scorpio. I don't know where yours is. You showed me the thing, but
I can't remember off topic.
Yeah,
we'll go over tomorrow.
We'll pick it apart tomorrow. But I've been studying natal charts since I was a teenager, man. So
good shit.
The fact that you did this is really, really, really pleasing to me. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Dude, it literally says, like, I was going through and telling me things about myself. She was looking at my Pluto and where that was. She was like,
"Oh yeah,
people with this arrangement are usually, you know, they're poly, or they like having multiple partners." And I'm like, "Motherfucker, I use a swinger." What else? But it basically said that, like, I'm connected from like Aries to Libra. I'm like an Aries Taurus person.
Okay. Yeah.
Look, there's a part. Listen. I did not tell her about Narc X. I kid you not. I did not, right? There's a point in the video toward the end where I actually had to put facts up on the screen, because she went over to where, because I have a lot of stuff in Aries. And she went over and she said, "You are very attracted to Aries women, but they're not good for you."
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Yeah, dude. So we're gonna have a lot of fun over there going over the natal chart, and Coil's going to do it with me because he's been doing natal charts for a long time, and I want to get his insight. But Timi's very cool, guys. Come check that out. There's a link to her TikTok. Please subscribe to her. She is trying to build a base. She is a survivor of narcissistic abuse who is still being stalked by a psychopath and his flying monkeys. She escaped to Greece to get away from this stalking, and she is now on her kind of a healing journey. But please check her out, give her some support. And if you're interested in her content, she is a profession. Her profession covers many disciplines. Oh, and one last thing, Coil. So she said that I have 3 vacant. I don't know what this means. I've never heard of like this style that she's talking about, but I have 3 vacant spots on my aura chart, on my chakra chart. And one of them, and one of them is my sacral, which means, check this out. When she said this, I fucking fell. When I have sex with someone, even if I'm sleeping next to them, I absorb all of their energy and I become them. And if I sleep with a sacral person, like X was, a sacral, she is a sacral person, then they will drain me of all of my power and feed me their toxicity.
Yeah, dude. We told you multiple times that you were like a different person.
And she was talking about the vacant chakra. She said that because it's vacant, we absorb everything. And I did, and then I explained to her when I was talking to her TikTok after I went over the video. I said, "Listen, when I began sleeping with her, I changed into an entirely different person,
Yeah.
and now I understand why."
Yeah. Well, and we talked about that on other shows like last year or earlier this year. So.
Yeah, but I didn't get it on that level. Like she broke it
Right.
down. She's
Right.
into disciplines that I've never heard of, bro.
Right on. She sounds like she would be an interesting guest to have on this show.
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Maybe we
Oh
should.
yeah.
Maybe we should talk about it sometime.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah. So there was one other piece that I wanted to talk about, and it wasn't necessarily it was actually more to do with the ET stuff, because that whole time I was out there, I wasn't visited at all. And
No, you were the phase. You understand, the phase had you. The aliens understood.
Yeah.
You were getting some terrestrial love. Okay.
There you go. Well, and it's I had one encounter when I lived at my old place, and I was telling you about that.
Mhm.
But this whole time, like I've been outdoors and not, because they don't want that shit around them either. If you're going through really tough times, they'll tend to back off, kind of thing.
No, yeah. They're like fair weather friends.
Yeah, but and it depends on which society or which race you're talking to as well. But we were talking about this last time, that there are human races out there, and our life form was created in part by them. But there's also like 21 other races that helped fuck with the genome. But there's a thing that they practice that I wanted to bring to your awareness, and this is something that came through other contactees as well. It's not just all like given to me. Like I've reached out and studied and like tried to find people who've been through similar things, and a lot of what we're missing as a race is real spirituality. We don't have a common definition of what a human being actually is. And then we fight over tribal god images, and we kill each other for no reason. And we've been fucked with. Our history has been hidden from us. So some of that has them viewing us in a sympathetic light, and some of them are just kind of like, well, if they're going to kill each other, just let them kill each other. And some of them think that we're smelly beasts, so it depends on who you're talking to. But the human races have a very old culture that goes all the way back to the Lyra star system. And part of what help us with our perspective is how they choose to practice the art of parenting. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about.
Okay.
And even with us as a race, the parenting drive is a very strong one. We want to fuck quite a bit because we've been sort of designed that way. But more to the point, like we want our family, we want our tribe around us. We want to see those little guys who look 50% like us, and guide them and teach them, and be able to sit back a few generations out and be like, yeah, this is my line. I'm proud of these people. But there's something that they practice called the law of consistency. And this is completely different from the way that we do it. But it is a smart idea. And if you just kind of listen to it, you feel the sense in it. And it's just that thing where we know that there's forces trying to socially engineer us. They want us to be stupid. They want us to be reliant upon them. They want to say jump, and we ask how high, and then we go ahead and do it. That's completely the opposite way of the way that they are. They try to make each generation better. And they start by being completely honest, and then they finish by teaching them everything that they fucking know, so that they have more information than their parents did before them. Then the race gets better. But they also tend to live longer too. So they can spend like 100, 200 years just going to school and like fucking learning everything. Like everything.
God, that's awesome, dude.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And I hear about stuff like that, and again, like I was saying, I was trying to consider myself as a temporal being or like a corporeal being, because none of us that live here today came from here. We're not like earthlings by nature. We all came here to work and do specific things. Now, whether that's it's your first go around and you're just kind of playing with having fun with your body, which a lot of these young people seem to be, or whether you know that you came back to do something important because you've mastered it all somewhere else. We all have that opportunity here. So me, myself, I remember in between lives. I remember other lives where I died and other lives where I was not a human. And yeah, it's a trip, dude.
I have a question since we're on this topic.
Absolutely.
Specifically. So from my perspective, which is terrestrial centric,
yes.
As we have seen the population explosion over the last century, I would imagine there are a lot of new souls, you know what I mean? New dawn souls that have come up, which is why we have a lot of the problems we do, because they have not had many lifetimes, and so they're kind of like vacant-eyed monkeys. Now,
yeah, I think about that sometimes too.
Thinking about that on a more galactic or universal way, is it possible that we have been getting incarnates here that are extraterrestrial, that could be, I don't know, draconian, and or something else?
Absolutely. Sometimes and sometimes that phenomenon of walk-ins, we've talked about that, where they will pop a soul out and then pop a different one in there and walk around inside your skin.
We've seen a lot of recognition. Now they've always been here, right? Because like my ancestors, the Anunnaki, they've been here.
Yeah.
So we know we know that there are reptilians. There are literal demons in human skin suits walking around. But I was thinking, like, because of the population explosion and because we're coming to the end of an age where we are compared to Galactic Central Point, we're at a very crucial time in the development energetically of Terra. And so, is it possible that the explosion of, or the influx of extraterrestrial reincarnates, could that be like an attack? Could that be like a move, or could it be just an energy flow? For instance, let's just say I'm going to use draconians for instance.
Okay.
Let's just say a darker race, all right. They see where the power is shifting here on this world, an opportunity to either take it over or take over more energy from it, or utilize it in some way we can't fathom in our our monkey brains. And that is why we're seeing a rise in a lot of like the mental illness and sickness and warfare and intrigue and covert programs and things like that. Like the evil that's happening in the world. What do you think about that? I'm talking a lot.
So that's okay. Those are some interesting thoughts, and it kind of has me going down several tangents. So
go rock on,
number
bro.
one, there's definitely a generational aspect to it. And we were talking about this a little bit last week, like the people who were born in the 1960s did a certain thing, and the people who were born in the 80s did a certain thing. The people who are being born in the 2000s are doing something else. And the more awakened aspects of those things, and I'm not talking about just like, inventing Microsoft Windows or something. The ones that are fueling the spiritual advancement and sort of like trailblazing for the next generation to come in and sort of pick up and do the next thing. That's a very real, like, in a sense, there's a real plan for that sort of thing. But at the same time, just being on Earth, even if you don't do shit, just physically being here, you kind of get like a spiritual Earth badge by the time that your incarnation is out. And it's like, holy shit, you stood on that planet during that time when they were doing that shit. Holy fuck.
Right.
Which does create a certain amount of extraterrestrial interest, but their interest is more in seeing us break our bonds and you know, embracing our history and learning about who we are, because as we are right now, we're not very, I mean, we're very warlike. We're not very fun to hang out with because we're really scared, and we tend to like kill things and cut them open before we ask them, hi, how are you doing? You know,
Mhm.
like some people don't even think like dogs and cats have spirits, you know, and that they're
Bullshit.
just dumb
They're people.
animals. No, they
They're
are.
people
You
too.
know, they're
And it's
different kind of. Go ahead.
the respect that is shown in Native American tribes of the past
Yes. Yes.
when they took from, when they killed a deer, when they killed the
Yes.
buffalo, they revered them, they honored them, they understood that they were snuffing out a light for necessity.
Absolutely.
But they also used everything they possibly could from that form to honor its life, because all animals have spirit. They are people too.
Yeah. Well, and especially if you eat meat and you consume flesh that hasn't been sanctified, you're absorbing what that creature was all about. You know,
Again, what the
like
koshers understand.
Yeah. So I mean, like you were talking about the native tribes, right? They would often stay with the animal as it was like expiring, and like breathe in the last fucking breath that it breathed out, and thanked it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And even I've even heard stories about like the time before time when humans could just go to the edge of the forest and call out an animal with its thoughts.
Yes.
And the animal that chose to come and lay down its life for you would just like walk up and like basically go, here you go, just make it quick and do it.
The circle of life is a real thing, man, and we've lost that. Now take that, and that is and consuming also plants, y'all. Plants are life too. They have spirit. So when you consume a hamburger from McDonald's, y'all, understand that the animals that were put into pens, that were given steroids, that were treated unhealthily, that were led up a freaking chute one by one, witnessing, animals aren't dumb, witnessing a cow going in, getting their head bashed in and disappearing, cow going in, head getting, right? They see that. You see, and that's literally spoiling the meat. That is, you are ingesting energetically, y'all. You are ingesting fear.
Yes.
You are ingesting fear. All right.
I'm so glad you understand these things, man.
Yes, my brother.
Well, people think it's weird because I'll go around in a grocery store. If I'm going to buy something, I'll put my hand out and feel the energy of the different food.
Me too, bro.
Like, one apple's not going to be the same as the other, and maybe that one has bad chi, and then you need this one instead. And even if it's not as large or delicious looking, that's the one that's going to feed you.
My bro, you fucking understand. God, I love you.
Absolutely.
And listen, and it also comes down to the sanctity of those grounds. It comes down what happened on those grounds. It comes down to how what that specific plant or tree was around, witnessed. They feel too. The mycelium network in an area connects every single piece. Every single blade of grass, every single tree. Trees talk to each other in the network. Don't think they don't communicate. They fucking do. So if they were in an area with like a toxic family, let's make it real basic. A toxic family, dude who beats his wife, kids who do fucked up shit. And that is the energy, the living people who are taking care of this orchard. The trees have that sickness. They take that illness into them. So when you consume a piece of fruit, a piece of something from that grove, you are ingesting the energy of the people who cared for it.
That's absolutely true. When we talk about like the earth having a memory, we've talked about like haunted places, like trauma can stay locked in earth spaces. And it's really interesting, Stephen, when you start to see auras. Plants have auras too. They connect with each other. Like one of the things I try to tell people to do if they're interested in seeing auras is buy that book, number one. But if you go out to like the mountains or something and you can see like miles and miles away where like all the trees look like one, and then you look at the energy of the earth, you see it flowing back and forth between one another. I mean, we talk about like thought becoming reality, and thought turns into energy, and energy becomes physical matter.
Trip your mind out, go out to a fucking ocean. All right. You know, you can see the curvature of the earth.
Yeah.
If you look all the way, that hazy blue that you see all the way at the bottom of the horizon, that is the energy field of the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
brother, there are.
The Earth's not flat.
Listen, I just checked the chat because I'm on my phone. I can't see the chat, but there are some very cool people in there. Jillian, I saw MC Mike does. I see Deborah in there. Why don't you go through and say hi?
Yeah, we actually got quite a few different people here. So we got Mike Does showing up. What's up? We got Deborah, of course, our lovely secretary. We got Jillian, and we're gonna go back through and grab the questions a little bit later because I'm really enjoying this thing. We got Demogeny. What is up?
Demoj!
How are you doing, man? We are just doing some fucking far out philosophy of pagan and an alien, right?
All hail the Dark Council. Y'all are killing it. Keep killing it. Love you guys. I love you guys.
And then we got the lovely Squeaka Mouse.
Oh, Squeaka.
She's another angel right there too, man.
Absolutely. Another fellow survivor and thriver.
Absolutely. She was there to help me out when not a lot of other people were. Jillian too. Jillian's a fucking saint.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our soul sister. That's our soul sister.
Yeah, I don't even understand how she's in my life because it's just that fucking awesome, you know. So I appreciate you guys coming out and listening to our fucking show. For those of you who are kind of new, this is more like an Art Bell kind of, you know, Jedi Council kind of, you know.
Art Bell meets a witch.
Yeah. You know, we talk about like alien shit and spiritual shit and metaphysical shit. And we're also savage about it. So we're not going to, I mean, not that we don't believe in the sanctity of what we're saying, but it's kind of like, to demystify the mysterious, the extraordinary has to be presented as normal. And to tell you the truth, a lot more of us have experiences like this than we're willing to admit.
Or don't realize it.
Somewhere else. Yeah.
Or, you know, or don't realize it. Like, you know, I was talking about my experience, you know, meeting that angel. And then, you know, I believe that yours was too.
Yeah.
I've met a demon. I've had a demon roll up on me. I've had a few, but like this one specific time when I was down at the Geeks and Gamers meetup, and I'm in the freaking Orlando parking lot down there, or Universal Studios, and I was in a very bad space, a very negative space. It was when I was going through the abuse cycle, and I wanted to off myself. But I was cool. I was having a good moment. I'm having a cigarette, hanging out in the car, and this freaking security guard rolls up on me, and for 8 minutes basically says, "Are you going to kill yourself? Are you okay? You're going to kill yourself? Are you okay? You're going to kill yourself." And I was in
daring you to do it.
Daring me to do it. I just want to make sure you're not going to kill yourself. And that's a demon. Like, we have these experiences all the time, no matter what God you serve or your spirituality or whatnot. Like, I honestly don't care. If you're a good person, you're a good person. And frankly, all rivers lead to the ocean, in my opinion.
That's right.
But we have all throughout our lives had those experiences. And sometimes we don't realize it. When somebody comes into your life at random, a random stranger, or a random event, that is source. That's God putting that in your space.
Absolutely,
you know?
It is. Well, and society has us so conditioned to believe that reality is us sitting in a bedroom watching TV or like playing on a smartphone, and then we have work on Monday, and then we have a bill.
Coil.
You know,
Coil. I gotta show you this video. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just cut you off for a minute. I gotta show you that video. Christ, I'm coughing. About why computer screens, why TV screens, and all of our screens, I have that blue background.
Yeah, you were talking about that last week. It was really interesting stuff.
Yeah, the CIA kind of used that. It came from the 60s, the computer technology from the 60s into the 70s. The CIA were using it to figure out a way to control people's minds without using direct stimuli to the brain, and trying to send those messages, those conditioning messages, without putting an RFID chip in you or something like that. And what they found out was they can use the blue screen. You know, when your computer crashes and it comes up with the blue screen that says reset, that is actually, that color, that tone is the background for all of our electronics. And that is because that specific tone can be used to send subliminal messaging into your brain.
Yeah. Well, so like the 5G network operates on a very similar frequency to the Schumann resonance. And then the Schumann resonance is something that every living thing on planet Earth vibrates with. We were talking about that, how they changed the A note from 432 to 440 hertz, and that's a very
aggressive, right? They made music aggressive by nature.
They did, you know, like back when like Mozart and shit was writing, they had a different concert pitch, and so a lot of those amazing symphonies, or like if you went to a cathedral and they had like the entire side of the wall was an organ, it would cause the church to vibrate. And people like Johann Sebastian Bach, they were like doing what they understood to be translating the voice of God into something musical that shakes us, like
because even then they understood that tone and vibration is the underlying energy of everything. That is the voice of God.
It is, you know, and that's why those lost arts, like we were talking about, like whatever the Druids understood, and like
the Catholics
geometry
did.
And you know,
that knowledge did survive.
They kept it for themselves.
They did, but one of the benefits of the bubonic plague was the Renaissance. And in the Renaissance, there was 1/3 of the population died across Europe. The church lost its death grip on everybody, and it created a golden age of science and art and music, because the information that had been stored at the Vatican and Catholic churches were found by people who, you know, were plebs, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once that was found, that knowledge kind of came back out. We're going through something similar right now with the internet.
We are.
You go ahead, brother. You understand this.
Well, yeah. So, and here's the other thing too, is like you were asking about like generational incarnation, and if there are other entities that are attracted to the Earth because of the process that we're going through. The answer is absolutely yes, because spirit is trying to unfuck what we have done to ourselves. And the only way that it could really do that is to come and be amongst us. So you have guys like me who aren't necessarily human, but we come from God on a mission. And I know that sounds kind of funny, but
it's the truth.
Yeah, when you have the balls to cop to it and you can back it up with actual knowledge. You know, I've had a very unusual life. You've had a very unusual life compared to a lot of other people, but
we're just two people amongst fucking thousands and thousands and thousands out there.
Millions,
we're on the same path. Millions. We're on the same path, right?
You know, so we're, even though that we're few and far between, we're dispersed in logical, planned out ways, so that our energy creates a net of sorts throughout. You know.
There are people that are teachers, right? So
yes,
like the Christos figure.
Yes.
All right. Like I will stand up here and say like Christos never existed. I'm not going to say that. What I will say is that a person like him in that time was one of many throughout time. Yes. There are people who are so enlightened, they have that Christ consciousness that they walk the earth and they give that knowledge out and they lead by example.
Yes, they do. You know, and it's one of those things, it's tempting to think like all the ancient knowledge was dispersed like thousands of years ago and that we're just kind of like living in some bullshit thing, which in some ways we are, but there's still that sort of thing going on. You know, people like you and me are evidence of that. People like the people who are listening to this broadcast is evidence of things like that. There's something that the soul is hungry for, that it realizes it's not getting fed from typical quarters, because all the shit that we are programmed to think is important and all the drives that we are encouraged to prioritize, it's not what life's about. You know,
Yes, go ahead.
Well, we have to be what life's about. If life is something different than we understand, and we're not following through with that understanding with action, like you're saying, then we're going to be doing ourselves a disservice. And I'm not
And
saying like we won't falter from time to time, because no one's perfect, but
you have to. You have to falter.
Yeah, that's how you learn. But that's
Right.
also if you're committed to your highest good, even half of the time, you're doing it more than most people. And if you can't do no harm, like you're saying, at least there's something I'm trying to say. It's like if you can't do that without hurting people, at least do no harm with your intent.
Well, okay, do no harm, but also understand that there is no way to equivocally avoid causing some type of negative impact in someone's life throughout your life, and understand that we are all interconnected, and negative reactions are teachers. Negative actions and energies are motivators. They are the hurdles that you overcome. I tell this to my narc abuse survivors out there. Take this opportunity as a chance to learn about yourself, never accept that type of behavior again, and figure out what it is in you that made you susceptible to the illusionist games. You know what I mean? Like this, that you take that and you create your better self. Evil has a function in this world too. All right, everything is a different shade of gray, of black and white, guys. You know, of light and dark. So you know, so you're going to run. Listen, there are people out there who made the wrong decisions, who were given opportunities to grow and be a better person, and made the wrong decisions. There's puff daddies out there. You know what I mean? There's puff daddies out there who did the absolute worst, gave into their most base, selfish, narcissistic, psychopathic desires, and the forces between these. I don't want to freeze it and say good and evil, but the forces between selflessness and growth and selfishness and dark, right? Or
probability wave,
right. It's out there. It's out there, and it's everywhere, and that's what we're fighting in Hollywood, because right now. And not all of Hollywood. There's some good people out there, but like the music industry, your Hollywood, your bankers, your entertainments, a lot of them are selfish psychos that are out there graping each other and doing horrible stuff. And then
to the point where it's almost like shocking when something good comes out.
Right, exactly.
I thought you guys were all like drinking blood and using the gold juice,
Right. Well, I'm going somewhere with this, bro. Give me 1 second. All right. So while you have these people who are doing that and being selfish in their music and their entertainments and putting out this, while graping each other and drugging each other and conning each other, right? While that's happening, understand that the media you consume, the music, the film, it doesn't matter what it is, the underlying tone of energy in that creative endeavor is Luciferian. It is of the dark power, the same as your food, the same as like the cows going up and you're eating fear. It's the same thing, and this is something we have to constantly fight. We're fighting this tide in order to grow, evolve, and become a better person.
Well, that's why I like the mission statement of this channel, because we're talking about things that will alter the very existence of reality. And we've talked about things like the archons who live off of fear.
Yes.
Right. So there's a very real source of there's very real beings who use the energy of fear to sustain themselves, but they can't do it for themselves, so they have to have us vibrate at that low level. And you see some of that mirroring with your narc stuff, but
narcissist. Thank you.
This is more like visceral than that. They're literally getting their sustenance from us being in fear.
Yes.
And they're so scared that we're going to evolve past them that they're kicking and screaming, trying to hold this reality together. But we're getting too big for that, man. We're ready.
Because as we begin to understand we are all one people, among a galactic community, by the way.
Yes.
But I mean, just terrestrially, as we begin to understand that we are God. God is not a guy sitting in the clouds counting how
Right.
many times you masturbate. We are
Mhm.
God.
Yes.
And as we begin to understand that, hurting another person is hurting yourself, doing
Yeah.
bad unto someone else is doing bad to yourself. And as we
Yeah.
come together as a collective, that knowledge is going to push out the Archon class. It's also
Yes.
going to allow us to reach a higher level of being. And once we reach that, new abilities are going to be open up
Oh
to
yeah.
us, new avenues, new potentials.
Yes.
Once we get to the point where we realize that we can manifest at will, at
Yes.
will,
At
you
will.
know,
Instant.
right?
Pow.
We have that ability. We just have not leveled to that collective opening. It's going to take all of
Right.
us reaching a certain point.
Right. And certain things need to change, and
Need to
certain,
change.
yeah. So I mean, I really think in the next 50 to 100 years, it's going to be a completely different planet. And you and I and the people who are part of this program are part of that happening. Just every new understanding that you get, if you change your life just that little bit, then everything else will start to get better. You'll start to notice the coincidences piling up. You'll start to feel steered by consciousness itself, and things like we were saying earlier, like the extraordinary becomes ordinary, and things happen, and it looks like magic to other people. And I suppose in a way it is, but it's not really that hard to understand if you sit down and think about it. So um gonna go ahead and get to some of these audience questions here, because this is one of my more favorite segments here, because this is really where the show starts to take off, and it can turn into something completely different than what we came here with. So let's see here. Most of the people are just kind of saying hi, what's up. Deborah says, are you saying that you're staying with Shellback? Yeah, so
Right now, Shellback
right now.
is spooning with Alex. That's what's happening right now over at Shellback's.
Well, he's in the other room watching TV, but I was telling Steven before the show, Shellback does a show with our good friend Snowdub, and they do like an adult puppet show. And I know it sounds kind of funny, but if you
Hail
watch the
trans fat.
show, it's a really good show, and it's kind of like the spiritual offspring of the old Muppet Show from the 70s and 80s. A lot of people like the Muppets have been cutesified, but like back then they actually had like a funny sketch show, and so
Well,
they
the Muppets
swear and
also
they
had adult humor, like all good 70s,
yes they
80s,
did.
no, I want to say kid, yeah, stuff that was like made for kids or family had
Yeah,
adult humor in it.
yes
So
it
that's
did.
what you find there.
Yes it did. So I listened to him do his podcast. I kind of sat off to the side and reveled in the fuckery, and then later on tonight, that's when I bring on Steven, and then we can talk about Art Bell fucking energy alien shit. So
This is where
yeah,
Walton can be a witch and nobody tells me I don't pray the right way.
that's right. I actually fully celebrate your practice of your faith, because number one, not many people are doing it the way that you do, but number
Well,
two,
there
you
are
have
people
that.
out there doing it, but some of them are limp-wristed, moon-worshipping progressives that
There you go.
are
Yeah,
very,
like
very bad representations of my faith.
yeah, they play with like vinegar and water, and burn
I
sage grass
make
and
I make war water. All right, white
yeah,
vinegar, swamp
yeah.
water. Never mind. I'm okay.
There
No,
you
go ahead.
go. Some sacred anointment. You put that on your forehead. Um, but yeah, so like I said, I was outside for a long time, and then Steven actually had to kind of kick my ass about this a little bit. He goes, "Why don't you call Shellback? He lives out there." And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to bother him." And he's like, "Dude, you're sleeping outside. I don't think you're gonna bother him if you ask him to."
You listen. We're
And you
talking
were
about
right.
opening doors and good
Yeah,
people. I've met Shellback. I have hugged Shellback. I have smelled Shellback. He is a good man.
he
Okay,
is.
he is.
He's wonderful, and he very kindly picked me up, and he took me to Walmart and bought me a bunch of socks, and he fed me, and he's just like, "Nah, man, you can hang out if you want to."
I mean,
Uh,
so since he like did all that for you, are you going to be the little spoon tonight?
I might have to be tonight,
Okay,
you
let him
know,
feel
but
big. He's a short
yeah,
guy. Only person
yeah.
on YouTube shorter than me. Let him feel big.
Steven's all too happy to announce that. So we also have Deborah saying, oh, we just got that one. No, she says, every feminist movement is different according to the decade and issues back then. Well, yeah,
Absolutely, Deborah, absolutely. And so I brought that one up. So I'm going to tone it. I'm going to tuck it back and be real. Absolutely, the suffrage movement was more about voting rights and ownership. Not that women couldn't have businesses back then; they could under special circumstances. And in the 50s, I think that, honest to God, I think a lot of it had to do with men not being able to be who they really were, and as far as maybe bisexuality and homosexuality. So you had a lot of women who were getting married to gay guys who
yeah,
didn't have sex with them, and
yeah,
it became upsetting. I mean, you look back at the 30s and the 20s, and all the smear campaigns against the gay community was
yep,
absolutely awful. But that definitely was. But when you get into the 70s, once you get into the 70s, and you start seeing feminists being told that it's okay to spit on Vietnam vets coming home because they weren't cultured over the conditioning that happened while they were away at war, then it
yeah,
becomes toxic. And then we have today where, like gay rights, it's past its time. There's no reason to have women's rights now. There's no reason to have gay rights. There's no reason for
yeah.
affirmative action. There's no reason for any of that stuff anymore. We're
Well,
equal.
you made that point with the whole like uh entertainment thing. All of those ideas and notions have been weaponized, and it's being used to drive
Exactly.
wedges between men and women. Like you have people who can't even like define what a male is anymore. You know, when it's very
Well,
scientifically clear,
exactly. And that's
but
it.
they've
It's the,
attached their sense of identity to it. You know,
Exactly. And
yeah,
with taking away the understanding that, first off, we are all built different, but there are mainstays. There are some positions that women are better at than men, as men are better than
yes,
women.
yes,
But there are exceptions to those rules. All right. A fucking, like the trucker bull dykes out there. Like, they're just as
sure,
good as any other dude. You know what I mean? The
absolutely.
lesbians at the
Sometimes they're
freak
better.
construction site, just as
Yeah,
good as any man. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
But when you
totally.
start saying that, a woman who's, 90 pounds soaking wet,
Can
well,
join
she
the
can be a
Navy
construction
SEALs.
worker.
Yeah,
No,
totally. Yeah.
no, no,
No,
no.
that's not gonna happen. You
Men
know,
and
and
women have specific roles, due to how we are created, conceived, grown, just to who we are.
yeah,
And there are exceptions to those rules. And I don't think that a woman or a man should be limited or told they cannot pursue certain things. But when you create movements that are meant to shame others because of
yes,
insecurities in one half of our race,
yes.
then that is toxic.
That's a problem. You know, take all those trans athletes, make a trans athlete league, and let them fucking play each other. You know,
Make
there's no.
trans sports. If they want to be trans,
Yeah,
make trans sports. I don't
there you
think that
go.
I don't think a dude in a dress should be competing against a woman on the field.
Neither do
I don't.
I. I think it's unfair, and it puts the former male at an advantage. You know,
Talk about taking, rolling back women's rights.
right?
That's rolling back women's rights.
It totally is. They're infringing upon women's right to compete. And this is the thing, guys. I'm not shitting on trans people or gay people or whatever. What we're doing is we're identifying people who are exploiting these movements and exploiting those
Absolutely.
populations.
There's a
Um,
difference. There's a difference between the dude in a dress on the corner yelling at everybody because he's emotionally reckless when nobody's
mhm,
done anything to him, and my aunt June, who transitioned in the late '80s, '90s, and
totally.
was stalked, beaten, was actually
Yep.
run over by a truck
Yep.
because she was a trans woman,
Yeah.
and that is a crime. That should not happen.
Well, I'll tell you
You
what,
know what
if
I
you were
mean?
gay in the 70s or 80s and you got your ass handed to you on a daily basis and not in the fun way,
If you were
you're
gay
a
in the
fucking
1930s
soldier.
when they were doing newsreels about how
Yep.
all gay men are pedophiles that want to rape your kid, I'm sorry,
Yep.
grape your kid, excuse me. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. You know, so but I also want to say for a time when I was a teenager, my mom had a girlfriend. So for a little bit I was raised by lesbians, and I turned out
Another-
more or less normal. Yeah.
Another similarity between Coil and I have two moms too. They're married. They live in Arizona. Matter of fact, there's a lot of gays out there, and I check on my niece every now and again just to make sure if she still likes dick, because I want to make sure there's still some breeders in the family.
Yeah, but so like a lot of this stuff comes from a very personal place, and I've seen the movement turn into something that it never intended to be, because evil, forget the term, narcissistic people took it
Absolutely.
over and made it into something it never should have been. So.
Listen, I am a tried and true classical liberal. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I am, and I don't want to see anybody disparaged because of their race, their gender, their sexuality, their whatever. No, everybody should have an equal chance. And I mean classic liberalism. I don't mean Democrat.
No, like Kennedy.
Well, classical liberalism. To be fair, as I have grown and learned more, as a whole, over the scope of the last 200, or I'm sorry, the last 136, 30, over the last however long, the Democratic and Republican Party split. The Republicans have been more for independent responsibility and growth, regardless of who you are, as opposed to the Democrats, who are fighting to keep beating and owning people.
Pretty much. I was watching some videos where it was a bunch of black people talking about why they weren't going to vote for Kamala Harris, just because, number one, she's not even really black. She's like half Indian. And then
oh my God, did you just say she's not really black? I didn't even think you'd go down that. What? Did you say that? Coil, shut the fuck up. Your white is showing.
Well, it's just one of those things, man. Like it's just like how Obama was doing all that funny shit with his birth certificate, and then black people were told to vote for him just because he had
Obama
melanin.
wasn't born in Hawaii.
No, he was born. Okay, that's a different show.
And if we could just prove that and get Arnold Schwarzenegger to run for president, I'd be so happy.
I'm sure everybody would, But the point of the videos were that they were expressing the fact that just because she has melanin present in her skin tone, that doesn't mean that she automatically deserves her vote. Nor are they they cease to be black if they vote a different way.
Coil, she's a woman of color who has sucked and fucked her way to the top. That woman deserves a chance to lay down in the Oval Office.
Man, I'm sure she does anyway. But,
I can't.
And this is the thing. I'm not saying that just because I don't like her that it makes me a Republican. I'm actually an independent, and I like to research my candidates when they show up on my ballot. So I'm not just going to vote for a guy with a red tie because he has a red tie.
I'm not. You're right. I'm a Trump supporter because I like Donald Trump, and I'll just say that shit out loud. But I think having Harris run is perfect. I think that she's even more of a gaffe than Biden, the Epstein friend. And honest to God, though, if they really wanted to go for it, they should have put Big Mike in the race.
They should have.
They should have put Big Mike in the race. You know what I mean?
At least he's smarter than she is.
Big Mike's been the first lady, so she would,
All right.
And it's not that I don't like transgender people. I just don't like when people falsely present themselves as something that they're not.
Exactly. It's about being honest instead of being a liar. And
be honest. You're a dude in a dress. Obama's gay. It's fine. I don't care. I don't care where you adopted the kids. I don't care.
Admitting that out loud, but everybody, it's like bosom buddies, and like everybody knows, but nobody really wants to say.
It's exactly what it is, bro. Wes Mooney called me earlier. I've got to get the freaking clip, the El DeGeneres clip from him. I have to.
You do. I think it would be funny to make a bunch of Ellen clips, but like replace her with like a gravelly voiced man.
Listen, and we will always credit Wes for the quarter test. We will always test him for the quarter test. He will always get credit.
Oh, he's good, man. So we got RR saying the Vatican has all the good pagan shit.
They do. They do. They absolutely do. Could you imagine all the tombs that they have in the Vatican basement? Not only that, but all of the stuff that they've taken from. I mean, listen, I will say this.
Even older variants of Christianity, some of those books they yanked and was like, ooh, nobody should be reading this.
Book of Enoch. Awesome fucking book. But honest to God, I will give the Catholics this. They were more concerned with preserving ancient knowledge, even though they hid it,
Yeah.
than the Muslims, who were out there just burning everything and destroying the Library of Alexandria, everything, you know?
No, and we were talking about that. If you read the Quran, like half of it is establishing the Islamic religion, and the other half is teaching Muslims how to argue with people who aren't. And then they have tenets that they're able to take to, rules about who to kill and how to kill them and why and what women should do and where they should sleep and what you should do with them while they're bleeding. And, it's just, it's nuts, dude.
I have here. Here we go. I've got a question.
Forgive the library at Alexandria.
A total loss. I've got a question for you, Coil.
Yeah.
All right. Aside from the Abrahams, all right, and no, I'm sorry. I'm saying before the Abraham. Oh, never mind. Okay. Beside Akhenaten's cult of Amen-Ra,
yeah.
What is the oldest monotheistic religion?
I give up. What?
Zoroastrianism.
Zoroastrianism. Okay.
Zoroaster. All right. Yeah. So Zoroastrianism is older than monotheistic Judaism, because monotheistic was Kabbalism, and that was a pagan religion before it became a monotheistic one. And Zoroaster was a prophet of God in creating a whole religion after him, Zoroastrianism, that existed in the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire actually, side note, lasted up until World War I. But the Zoroasters, the oldest existing monotheistic religion, was actually a very strong presence in the Middle East up until the Golden Age of Islam. And during the Golden Age of Islam is when they were raping and killing and pillaging the most.
Yep.
And they wiped out cities full of Zoroasters.
Yeah, I actually did read about that years ago and just kind of like forgot about it. But I think when I was doing that research,
you think about the Zoroasters and the knowledge they had lost.
Yeah, it's gone. There's a lot of stuff that's been lost. I think about that too when I think about like the Aztecs and the Incas, because the Spaniards went over there and burned everything except for like 4 books, and it's only because of that we even remember the Mayan calendar and freak out about it, because people don't know that there's no end of the Mayan calendar. It's round.
Right. It's right. They can't understand that, just like some people can't understand the original translation of the Bible. There is no end time. There's no end time. It is the end of ages. Even the Bible recognized the precession of the equinox.
That's right. It's rife with astrological things. We have the burning calf.
Absolutely.
We had the 2 fishes representing, and then Christ himself is said to have said about
Christ
the age of Aquarius with the water. That's when my age is over.
Christ was the Son of God, the sun, the circle at the center of the 12 astrological signs in which the sun travels about with.
Yep. It's all a solar allegory.
Right.
People like the people who know about it laugh at the people who don't, because they think it's like a magic guy, walking around.
If people could just, if those types could be more open-minded and just untangle the conditioning and look at it from that perspective, you're not losing anything. As a matter of fact, you're gaining it. Like, you can still have faith in Christ and understand what it actually means, what that story actually represents.
Yes.
And look at the beauty of how old it is and how many names and how many tales have been woven into this solar Messiah story that stretches probably back to the time of the floods.
Absolutely it does.
It's a beautiful story.
There's been a lot of variants of it, but
they're different, and there are differences. There absolutely are differences, but it's all astrological.
Yeah,
All of it
and
is everything.
they all pretty much say the same thing. And to tell you the truth, the golden rule is actually really fucking applicable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, treat
Mm-hmm.
others the way you want to be treated. Very, very old, simple wisdom. You know,
Yeah,
but
it's like
apparently we need to be told it every 1,000 years or so, right?
you were talking earlier about how like you don't preach at people like if they're Christians, you don't
Right.
they burst their bubble or whatnot, whatever. And
Right.
I look at it the same way, because the way that I do it is when I meet somebody who is a Christian and they're very into their faith, they're good people, like they're following the word as I think it should be followed.
Yes.
You know, like it's a good teaching. I don't want to burst that bubble, but I look at it as that's a beautiful thing. Like I see Horus in that. I see
Yeah.
Odin in that. I see
totally.
Marduk in that.
Yeah.
I see Phoebe in there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
matter of fact, Janice is saying, or Janice, RR is talking about Janice again. They said they always
Janice.
left the temple doors open for Janice's wind of fate.
Yep.
like
There
that.
RR knows it. Oh, my brother. Yes.
Yeah.
Janus is one of my
RR's
favorite
got
guys.
some fucking deep wisdom there sometimes, and it's funny because he throws up the rock and roll horns, but I imagine him being like a wise Jedi or something.
Dude, Janus has always been one of my favorite. Absolutely, with RR, absolutely. Janus has always been one of my favorite gods. My sigils have always been throughout my time white and black. That's why it's the white wolf, black dragon on mine. And we're going to cover this on my chart tomorrow. So the aspects which connect from Aries to Libra, I forget the planets. She said to me, she goes, and you have the ability to vacillate as a light or shadow worker at any time. And I was like, wow.
We knew that too. You know,
well,
like
I did, but it's like, wow.
She's really fucking reading you, dude.
She never knew me. Right. We just had a couple conversations about her narc. Like I just listened to her talk about her narc. That's all we did. Then she did this thing for me. And it was like, oh my God. It's all there, dude. Like everything is there.
Well, Jillian has an interesting point. She says people are getting the idea of God and ETs confused. And I think that we were talking about the Anunnaki earlier, where
well, now the Anunnaki and other visitors did influence religion.
Yes, they did.
Absolutely, they did.
Yeah.
I am LODONIS, son of Enki. Enki was an extraterrestrial. You
Yeah,
know,
when
he's a god of wisdom. He's also I think isn't he the same as Thoth? Like the
story that I heard was that was his son. So in Sumerian, his name was Ningishzida, and he was known to have gone over the river and create artificial mountains.
Okay.
Right? And then Enki was synonymous with Pa, the developer. Who, dug up the fucking River Nile and blah, 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 blah. But if you think about him being basically a wise scientist and a master geneticist and all this kind of stuff, like building a city would be fucking nothing to him. You know?
Dig it.
But I was having this conversation with somebody earlier, and it might have been the angel guy, I don't know, but how you had the word Elohim that is in the Bible that represents heavenly beings, and that's a plural word, and it is interchangeable with the concept of God, but there was a specific entity of the Elohim known as Yahweh or Jehovah or whoever you want to fucking call him. So you have a personality that's attached to a heavenly being who is representing himself amongst his chosen tribes as the grand poobah of it all, when really he's just an egotistical alien. It's like Star Trek, you know. But honestly, if you take a bunch of primitive people and you know, like that whole like Jacob's fire thing or Jacob's ladder, where you have technology that's beyond their ability to understand at the present moment, they seem like magical and they seem godlike, and of course they can kill you easily, and you know,
and
all that kind of stuff.
And I'd like to introduce this because as a person who's married to Gaia, terrestrially, when you look at the idea of like gods and ETs being confused, absolutely. Now, there are beings that exist that are not extraterrestrial, that live on higher planes, fourth, fifth, sixth dimensional beings, which could be considered gods. I think that the Lokis, for instance, the Lokis and Thors of ages past,
Mhm.
they could have been extra dimensional beings.
Yeah. Well, and to tell you the truth, in between lives, when we're not anchored down by human bodies and confused by monkey brain, we do things like design planets and fuck with galaxies and positions of stars and things like that. That is absolutely in spirit's ballpark. And the whole reason for physicality in the first place is to have spirit come down and have a means to explore itself from outside its own vantage point, you know?
And I would also like to say that if I or he, if I am wrong and there is a heaven, I would like to go to the one Cameron Pasha's going to, because apparently it's a fucking orgy. It's
There
an
you go.
orgy in Sufi Muslim heaven, and I would like that ticket, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to go home sometimes, but there's apparently still some stuff to do.
I want to go to a heaven where I can have sex with all the damaged, effed up girls, and nothing bad ever happens in return. That's heaven. That's where I want to go. All the damaged eyes and broken wings. That's where I want to be.
that's Steven's idea of a
That's
good afterlife.
That's my heaven. Fucking
Yeah.
A.
Yeah. Let's see here. Mike Does says sex conversions are nothing more than evidence of non-acceptance of one's natural form, aka nature. So it's essentially going against nature. Well, yeah, a lot of times people who suffer from body dysphoria like that are very damaged and emotionally fucked up people. And used to, before it was all in vogue and they were trying to get kids to do it, you had to go to like 10 years worth of counseling and you had to be over the age of 18 and you had to really,
Imagine
really,
that.
really fucking be sure that that's what you want to do. Because
Imagine that, being prepared and actually, making
Yeah.
sure that's right and doing it in a healthy way. I know.
Yeah.
Where have we gone?
Well, and think about it, Steven. Like, once you cut your fucking wing off, that's it. You can't just like get a new one. I mean, they try to tell
But
you can, but
the point of the Luciferians doing that is to destroy people's lives, the narcissist psychos who run everything right now. That's just how I see it, and you can't get that in my brain. They want what is happening right now, Mike, and I'm sure that you're aware of this, is that there are people who, when they were young, their parents were radicals, they were ideologues, who gave hormones or supported some crazy idea to their freaking 11-year-old that they were a boy or a girl when they weren't, and put them through transitions and supported them with that. And now they're getting to a point where
he's playing with a Barbie doll. He must be a little girl.
Right, exactly, dude. What these fucked up? God, you just bring back dueling. And so, but now we're seeing people who have grown up and they're like, oh shit, I really am a guy, or I really am a girl. And now they have to reverse the mutilation that was done to them, the psychological damage, the body damage, the biochemical damage, the brain damage, and try and live a normal life. And it's horrible.
You look at the rate of post-transition unaliving of the self, and it's like an epidemic.
You want to make people really sad? You take one of the smallest segments of our world population, thrust them to the forefront as some kind of a fucking virtue signal, convinced a whole lot of people that when they're going through confusion in adolescence that we all go through, and then mutilate them, and then take, which also has, that segment of the population also has, at 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 34% unaliving rate.
Yeah.
Imagine what that is going to be, or where it's climbing. It is climbing. And that is because one second.
Go ahead.
And that's because the Luciferians, the narcs and psychos that run everything in our governments and our medical industry, want to pass on pain, want to destroy other people. And now they are destroying an entire segment of the population, a generation of people, with these mutilations. And it's disgusting. We are at the end of the age of Pisces. It is spiritual warfare, guys. And that's why it's so very important to be good to each other.
Yeah, For real, wash your hands, wash your ass.
Yes,
There's
sir. Yes, sir.
actually a portion of the Hopi prophecy that talks about this, where they say like men will become like women and women will become like men, and they'll be interchangeable.
Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
Yeah, mass hysteria. Absolutely. Mike raises another interesting point. He says, to the narcs, nature represents God, so they will go against nature.
Absolutely. Well, point. Yes, yes. Nature is God. And right, the connection to source. A narcissist disconnects themselves from source because of their selfishness, because of their fakeness. They refuse to connect with the development, the early development of their soul, what we call an inner child. They refuse to. And instead of healing that and making a connection with source, they create the external shell and then destroy other people to feed that fake facade. They're archons who live on fear. And so absolutely, like Scott Clark says, satanic personality disorder, everything is a 180. So they absolutely, those people are demons, and they are fighting God in the sense that they are fighting we who are connected, we who are family upon Gaia.
I love that. Jillian says there's a photo apparently of Big Mike. I've seen several. I've seen one where
I've seen a few.
He's in a green dress. I saw another one where he's dancing on stage, and his fucking, that's probably the one Wes found, right? Where
do you see the one? You see the one in Air Force One with Biden going down between Kamala's legs?
I sure enough did. I
mean, like those photos. That's what kills me.
Egregious. That's egregious.
Right, and that's what kills me. Right, these photos are out there.
Yeah.
These photos are out there. These things are out there. Like, these people are sick, and the fucking psychos that have control of our media. Like, why the fuck would you not go? By the way, the president of the United States was eating out the vice president on Air Force One. It would be like, why wouldn't they? Like, these people are sick. These people are sick. That's why we'll never get the Epstein client list. That's why we'll never get the Gwendolyn Maxwell transcripts, because these people are sick.
You want to talk about like a ritual magic, man? They misuse sexual energy. They misuse life energy. They misuse
and
blood,
misusing sacral energy, like narcissists do, can destroy and manipulate and control you and create psychic entanglements and psychic attacks and literally demonic possession.
Absolutely. And it's funny how apparent this. It's funny how apparent this is to people like us and people who listen to the show, but like everybody else walks around like with their head in the fucking sand and pretending like the emperor's wearing clothes.
No, but this is the thing, though, brother. This is the thing. I think that even I do this. We put a little bit more of a dark spin on it because we're frustrated. It's not most people's fault that they are living in a cognitive fog, a smear campaign put out by the wealthy elite. That the people who control our media, who put out smear campaigns and spin campaigns and lies to us and present false faces of virtue and get behind things like transgenderism as a false flag in order to ruin lives. This is what they do, and it's the crazy Coil. It's the craziest thing, dude. That since I went through what I went through with Narcopath and Rainbow Dragon and all the stuff that came after it with Delarose and other people, I not only do I have a real visceral hatred for narcissists and psychos, but I understand, because I understand the abuse cycle, what it does, how it affects us as survivors or people. And now I'm looking at the world through that lens. And I see it. I see it everywhere. The same people that we were fighting, the Disney Star Wars fans, like not all of them, but the real radical fucking left ones. Those are people with mental fucking disorders. Those are people with personality disorder. Kathleen Kennedy has a personality disorder.
Big time.
Right? You know what I mean? Right. So I see it and understand now why Pablo Hidalgo and Chuck Wendig and why, these different we're talking the kind of smack that they were and laughing and getting paychecks for being evil fucks, because they're being supported by psycho fucking narcissists who work in this industry, privileged ass millionaires. Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And when you have people like Wendig, who's too narcissistic for the narcissists, I'm not going to mention our favorite comic book creator, but people who's too narcissists for the other narcissists. Like but this is the culture and environment that they create.
Yeah.
And so when I look at, what we know, we've known for years, bro. We've known for years where fucking Biden spent time on that island. We knew, we know. We've seen the fucking pictures. We've seen the fucking evidence. We know it's on Hunter Biden's laptop. We know it's out there, but nobody has seen it because the media won't show it. The media will not show it. They will create a false flag, or hey, look over here. Look at the other hand. Don't look what's happening in the room. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it was weird, man. Like
years
ago in the late '90s, when I first started researching like big conspiracy theory, I found books by David Icke. Okay, and I've talked about this before. But he used to interview this woman named Arizona Wilder, and her big claim was that she was taken somewhere and forced to have sex with like presidents and things like that. And I was like, that sounds really fucking like bizarre, and like I don't know if I can believe that. But then like you start learning stuff about like Epsilon Island and all that kind of shit.
Yeah,
and you see the passenger manifest. You see those motherfuckers getting off the damn plane, and
and the one, listen, this is the power of a smear campaign, the power of an international smear campaign. The one dude who was on a plane one time with that guy and said, "I never want to see him again," is the one dude that everybody's claiming was one of the guys that went there. Trump. Donald Trump met that guy and said, "I never want to be around that weirdo again."
Ever
but who
again.
who was hanging out with him? Clintons, Obamas, Bidens. You know what I mean? Yeah.
All the So,
all the pure folk, all the good people.
Yeah. Coming back to someone a little bit normal, Enki was mono. He was a single god. Well, he was part of a pantheon. His father Anu was the main dude, but Enki was Lord of the Sea, and then his brother Enlil was Lord of the Command. Sometimes he's called Lord of the Earth, but it's basically the same.
Enki is also a god of creation, god of water. He's also known as a trickster. Enki could also be a trickster. I really love the Marduk Tiamat saga, which is,
I love that stuff too.
Yeah, which is the parallel to Zeus and Kronos, a much earlier version of that.
It also details the creation of man, because before Terran humans were installed here, in order to mine their resources and do all that kind of stuff, it said that the gods did the work themselves, but then they rebelled, and part of their rebellion was about the work. So Enki came up with the idea, let's create a slave being. The being that we need is already running around. We just have to affix our image to it.
Right.
So we were the result of that. But then
Enki is my father. Absolutely. Yeah, he created our race.
But it's really funny because Enki and Enlil had different mothers, but they had the same father. And Enlil
Hail the Dragons.
He was reptilian, and then Enki was more human. So he had more compassion for the Terran humans that he was creating. Plus, like, he was fucking them too. He fucked quite a bit of them. And
what else is a god gonna do?
Yeah. Well, and that's also been a part of, like I was telling everybody, I've had experiences where I've been mated with, but that shouldn't be so surprising because humans have been mated with by the gods ever since our creation. Matter of fact, I think part of our like sex drive was like a tweak that they put in so that women would be horny and want to fucking get it on,
God, thank you guys. Yeah. Thank you, Enki.
And then Enlil is said to have been upset with the noise that humans were making at night when they were fucking, and he thought of us more like beasts. But the way that reptiles do it is a lot different than the way that we do it. So anything that we would do that would be like procreative or a function of our body would naturally be like repugnant to him. Just just the same way like we can't imagine like having a cloaca and then like shitting
The
out an egg
idea,
and all that kind of stuff.
if you, yeah, and those legends give us the Saint George and the Dragon.
Yeah,
That's where that comes from. Because at one point the humans had to fight the well, I guess what we call draconians, or Terran
yeah.
draconians. We
Well,
had
then
to go
it
to
would
war with the
be
dragon.
it would be a little bit more illustrative to have that understanding in place, because in the Bible, the characters of Enki and Enlil were oftentimes fused, and then you would have
Yes.
that's how come God appeared to be so insane. Like he was upset and wanted to kill us, and then like the next minute he was sorry and wanted to like throw rainbows around. But
Hail
really,
Janus.
it's the two brothers, you know. And
Hmm.
Enlil wanted us destroyed. He forbade word of the incoming calamity. I can't fucking speak. To be communicated with the humans. So in the story, Enki or Ea or whoever you want to call him, he talked to the progenitor, like their version of Noah. His name was called Atrahasis, and he sat down Atrahasis, and then he sat on the other side of a reed wall, and he warned Atrahasis, and Atrahasis is sitting there going like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He goes, "I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the reed wall." So then that way he technically didn't disobey his brother, but the word got out. And then all the fucking typical Noah stuff and flood stuff that you hear everywhere else happened. And the Hebrews said, "Hey, I kind of like that. So we're just going to throw that in our little Bible here." And changed all the names. So yeah, God wears a bunch of different faces, and you have to kind of
Yep.
like wade your way through a lot of the lore, but also realize like source and spirit are real things. So you can have a physical being claiming to be the embodiment of that source, but you know that he's wrong because he's just
But
kind of putting you on. Yeah,
you must
I think
also
about
you must always also understand the manifestation of source, or of, if you are a creator, believer creator, into different forms.
right,
That form
and
is not
actually,
set.
right, actually, we were talking about that where primals or like archetypical beings can take form based off of people's beliefs on them. So
Yes.
even
Like
if there's not
the
really
Fae.
a yeah, or like even if there's not really a Satan, if enough people believe in Satan, he might as well be so. That
Oh,
kind of thing.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. These pantheons mean something. All right. That's why witches gather
Yeah.
in covens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because wherever two or more are gathered, you know, that's where the power is. And I think about this too. This is kind of an aside, but back to the Anunnaki thing. If you think about the shape of the ziggurat, right? It's basically like a pyramid with the capstone missing, with a
Hmm.
big fucking platform at the top and living quarters for the god. There's probably a
Hmm.
nice place for their little ship to land. And then when the god came out of the house, he um, had the station of both priest and king, and of course he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. There was actually a
Oh,
uh,
you ever see Predator versus Alien?
yes,
The opening scene in Predator
yes.
versus Alien.
There's some truth in that. You know,
Yeah.
it's really funny what Hollywood will put out right in front of your face, and if you didn't
And
know what
tell
you were
you.
looking for,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Um, oh, where was I going with that? But the
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, it's okay.
You're
I
talking
was trying to
about the ziggurat
I
and
was
the
talking about the
gods.
ziggurat. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So there was actually a Sumerian text where it basically documented like a state's visit from Anu, and it got saved as like a hymn between Anu and Inanna, which means beloved of Anu. And that's
Hail Nana.
yeah. Oh yeah. Now you talk about like divine
Mm-hmm.
prostitutes and all that kind of stuff. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
totally her domain, and
I
she
love
was
Inanna. That.
yeah, and that was like one of the first instances of like the war goddess also being the love goddess.
Hmm.
So
Let us
Anana,
not forget that
Ishtar,
let us not
mhm,
forget that Aphrodite's favorite lover was Ares, and they would fuck on a
Ares.
bed of human skin.
Oh yeah, right
You know
behind
what I mean?
Hephaestus's back,
Right, 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 right.
or Vulcan's back, or whoever you want to call it. It's all a
Vulcan.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, let's see here. So Deborah says, maybe Shellback can help you build a puppet. You can join the puppet show. It's funny, actually. Occasionally, I am on that show, but instead of having a crystal skull, I Photoshop Joe Camel into weird situations and just make up make up jokes, you know.
Immortal Coil has a puppet. It's just that
It's a meat puppet.
it's a meat puppet. And if he puts googly eyes on it, it's still gonna look like, you know, a skin flute. So
Yeah. But it's a trip. I've known Snowdub about as long as I've known Steven. And you know, we've all been like bros together since way back in the day. But I could tell you, man, like of all that old crew, it's like you and him are holding up the best, you know.
you think so? I don't know. No, dude. Drunk 3PO.
Oh yeah.
Drunk
Like
and lethal lightning.
Yeah, 3PO disavows us. Like we had a buddy that
he did
something.
disavow us.
He did, man. I mean, like we had a buddy that was basically publicly humiliated, and then after that event happened, 3PO had to step back, which I suppose I get, but like if
as strategically for his career, that was the right move. It was. Yeah, it's a shame, you know, but it's like, I'm going to survive because because Angus is doing it again. I love Angus, but he's doing it again. And I'm like, I even put him in our intro. You know what I mean? That's, he's Anakin and I'm Padme running up. I can't go down the road. You're going down. Because, you know, it's here. Angus is he's one of the smartest dudes I know, man. That's what I made a video, real quick. I made a video about going back into my spheres and operating around different kinds of people. And like Angus is one of them. Like I love Angus, but he goes down roads I can't follow. You know what I mean? I love you, but I can't go down that road. I'll see you when you get back. I'll see you when you single
minded about stuff, but like the guy is wicked smart.
He's wicked smart and creative and everything. Yeah, and he knows his shit. But I don't know what the fuck, man. From my perspective, and I'm not saying he's doing this, but from my perspective, it's like he has to destroy himself. He has to build momentum and then destroy himself. Yeah. And then build momentum and destroy himself. And I'm not throwing, Steve Walton is not throwing stones. I realize my house is a little glass in that department over the last few years, but like, you know, just where, you know, it's what it is. And like even like of all of us, the only person who hasn't done that really, really bad has been drunk. You know what I mean? Well, like that's the only one, you know, like even Lethal's had some gaffes, you know, definitely. But you know, but
especially for the echelon that 3PO occupies, you know, he's like rubbing shoulders with the big kids, you know, and
then Red Gaze found like apparently the best fucking pussy on earth and disappeared to Europe, and he's gone.
Yeah, it's a fucking trip. So I mean, you know, Steven and I and Snowdub were old soldiers from the same sort of regiment, if you were. And
absolutely, we were fucking Fandom Menace before Fandom Menace was even Fandom Menace.
Exactly, and we've been up and down with it. We've been through several iterations of it. Steven's written a couple of books about it, so you guys can.
We are the crew that stayed whole even when we were fighting. We are the crew, well, with the exception of Drone. We are the crew that weathered year after year different shit, whether we were here working or not. We have all maintained connection with one another, even when we were in complete opposition to something. There is no other crew since late 2018 that you will find that has been around as long as Trans Fat.
Yeah, you know, we were definitely a force to be reckoned with. But
I mean, okay, you know what? Excuse me, one exception. Excuse me, I do have one exception for that statement. I apologize. World-class bullshitters.
Oh yeah.
World-class bullshitter team has been together since 2014.
Yeah. Jeff was actually one of the first people to call it when he saw Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And that was like years before anybody else realized anything else. I don't even think he liked the first Disney Star Wars movie, the one that everybody kind of like fell for, you know.
Jeff took my letter to Bob Iger and read that shit online and got his first, well, not because of me, it was a great video, but he added my letter to it. It was World Class's first million viewed video. That shit gave me up. Dude, I remember, because I had just started YouTube at that time. Like I was only like, you know, about 4 or 5 months in when that happened. And I literally collapsed on my bed. And it wasn't like, oh my God, yes, it was a fear. because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
an introvert. Or
Yeah.
I learned how to be an outrovert. I was an introvert, and my name just went out there. Something I read just went out there to all of those people, world class bullshitters,
Yeah.
right? The home of the fandom menace, and I was scared, dude. I was like, oh my God, is the fucking left going to come after me now? Is Hollywood going to come
Sure.
after me now? You know, I was so scared of it, but you know, I weathered it, and
No, I
it
get
was a
it.
wonderful thing.
We saw many instances of people being doxxed. You know, like people
Oh
would
yeah,
evil people would find out people's real names and then start posting their personal contact info, and you know, just
and that's
there's some
bullshit.
real
And I
sickos
don't
out
right,
there. Yeah,
and that's bullshit. And I don't care if I've had beef with any of those people. I don't give a damn about that's bullshit.
it
That
is.
you know that should not happen.
Nah, I mean that's an
Mm-mm.
invasion of privacy
That's an
and all
invade,
that
right?
kind of
Right.
stuff. Yeah, it happened to our
That's
friend Red Gaze, man. You know,
yes, yeah,
which is
it did.
personal. Yeah,
Red gaze weathered a lot. Red gaze has weathered a lot. You know what I mean?
yeah.
There's some. I'm gonna shut up. I know.
Yeah,
There's shit
we've
out
all,
there. That shit on his lip got some shit on his lip.
yeah. Well, I mean, we've all suffered and been through shit, and some of it has
Yeah.
been self-imposed, of course, and some of it
Yeah,
has been
absolutely.
at the behest of the powers that be.
Some of it's
But
come from two fingers.
yeah, but the point is, we survived it.
Yeah, we
know?
did,
You're
and we're
not
still
going to be able
cool.
to kill us because the only person that can kill me is me.
Listen, and I promise this. I promise y'all this. All my fatties. I promise you this. I know I'm going in a wholly different direction than everybody else, but I will not forget you. And if you are good to me, I am good to you. I promise you. I'm not gonna
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna hit a stride. I'm not gonna watch one of us get clowned and then go, you know what? I'm doing really good with these guys over here, so I can't know you anymore. I'm not doing that shit. All right. And
Yeah.
I'm not dissing Jay for doing it. Jay did what he had to do, but that's not me. That's not my character. But if you're out there clowning and certain people that I respect, and you're you're in a camp I can't be in, then I'm just not going to be in that camp. It's what it is. Yeah.
Well, and we've talked about that. This is one of the primary reasons I switched away from covering entertainment, is because you kind of get stuck in the same like sort of, okay, what kind of bullshit's happening today, and then it turns into like a negative experience.
And there's only so much of it can go the fuck around, right? Look, Midnight's Edge got it on lock. Comics Division got it on lock. Nerdrotic, World Class, Geeks and Gamers, they got it on fucking lock. You know what I mean? Like, it's what it is, okay? And
well, they got teams of motherfuckers that throw together videos in like half an hour.
Which is what we were going to build, but it didn't happen. But listen, but look at everybody else who came from that. All right, damn near everybody else that came from that. What are they doing? They're hateful. Their channels ain't growing. They're causing shit, starting shit. They're angry. They hate Geeks and Gamers and Nerdrotic, and those. I don't fucking understand why. Because I mean, like, you're right, and they're in and of itself all shit, my brother. I hope that none of the old anti-TFM channels are hearing this, because I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. They were right about something. And it is that when you have a culture of people who become the enemy.
Yes.
All right. We became, because that's what the culture of fandom. That's why Fandom Menace broke them up. You became the thing. They were okay, and it's kind of weird because like we were mirroring the narcissists and became the narcissists.
Yes.
And when that happened, everything fell apart. Everybody was out for themselves, cutthroat, a lot of smear networks, destroying other people's reps, totally having a problem if somebody was busy and didn't let you on their own fucking live stream. Like, it's not anybody's fucking job to help you out. It's your job to help you out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So, some of us found other avenues. Some of us are doing different things. I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, same.
You're doing what you're doing.
I didn't hear anybody talking about the shit that we talk about, so I was just like, I guess that's more my wheelhouse anyway, man.
Doomcock and Gary, man. Doomcock and Gary used to do that shit Friday nights. Yeah,
they did before they something weird happened between them. I'm not sure what, but
I love both of those men, and I'm
Yeah.
going to say fifis. That's all I'm saying is fifis.
there you go. Yeah. You know, and that's the thing is like I was sitting around doing Star Trek videos and trying to talk about stuff like this, but I couldn't really find an angle to do it. So I just finally like, fuck it, I'm gonna go live.
Dude,
I'm gonna drag
the
my friend
angle-
Steven onto it.
The angle we come at this is spiritual.
Yes.
There is, you know what I mean? Like I want to do with you. I want to do with you a series about the original and the prequel trilogy from the perspective of empaths and psychos and
I
narcissists.
would love to do something like that, dude.
Right.
Um,
I think it's a great fucking idea, and
Yeah.
it does fit.
yeah, absolutely.
And we could also do that from a spirit. That's a spiritual perspective, man.
Yeah. Well, and that's also one of the reasons why I like what we do, because doing it like this, we touch on much broader topics that have much more far-reaching implications than what Mickey Mouse is fucking doing.
It's
you know?
fucking A, man. And listen, I
Yeah.
have been experimenting over on author Stephen Walton, trying to bring my new knowledge to that. And this is what I have discovered is that the knowledge that I am bringing is about 3 years too late. If I had done what I had to do when I was 30, when I was dealing with the narcissist then, and recognized it and learned it and got where I am now from then I probably could have brought that to my channel, but it's just too late, you know. And thank God for Ryan Roger Athey, because he understands. He's like, I get it. I know where you're trying to come from, but it's just not.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen to Mortal Coil? I'm going to get we're going to get the train wreck express rolling, right?
Yep.
We're going to get the 50K on Dragonstorm.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have 100K on TikTok and 100K on fucking Instagram. And then out of nowhere, you and I are going to talk about the train wreck of Disney.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. That's what
because it's a metaphorical story, but it's also a cultural story, and it's exactly what's illustrative of the split nature of humans' soul. You know, we're a fractured species, and we don't even know why. Just because that's how it's always been. You know,
you look back at okay, and even in that scope of just like Disney, right? You look at the scope of Disney, which was never a perfect company. They hate Jews, but you know, you look at everything from Snow White all the way up to like Nim, all the way up to like Lion King, right? You could, you look at the scope of that. They always approached light and dark realistically. You know what I mean? Like the evils were real danger. There was murder and shit going on, and intrigue and sex and things going on, right? And then you get into
Cinderella. They stabbed a fucking dragon in the heart.
Right, bro. Right.
Bambi's mom got killed.
Listen, I was a lucky 80s kid who grew up on the Disney Channel, on the 80s Disney Channel. So I saw all that stuff. And those were great metaphors for life, and they weren't glossied, and the messaging was quite clear, because it was of life. This is life. Even in fantasy, this is life. But once you get into the woke era, it becomes messaging. It becomes control. It becomes, you know, there's no wise men. All the old white men are all slave owners, and they're evil and racist and horrible. And do you know what your pronoun is?
They live on Canto Bight, right?
You know, fucking Canto Bight, right? You know what I mean? It's like everything that they say they hate, you know, is what they are. Like Antifa, anti-fascist, the most fascist motherfuckers out there. You know what I mean? Black Lives Matter. We're fighting racism. Y'all motherfuckers are racist.
I'm fully convinced that Disney is at war with the redheaded race, because every time there's a redheaded person,
they're killing them gingers.
Yeah, they're killing the gingers. And
let's take Ariel and make her black. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like you can't create a new story. You got to, you know what I mean? Like
black people live at the bottom of the ocean, right?
Black people, their fucking water would be that. Listen, stop, Steve, stop. Listen, I'm just saying. I know if you could just, dude, I am. I know. I was about to go Gen X hard in that motherfucker. Listen, but you could create a new story. Why can't you create a new story? I can accept a Black Mermaid.
Totally.
I don't give a fuck. No, I do not give a fuck. But why do you have to take this successful, beloved story and then do that? And it's all because of appropriation. The same thing that they bitch about. You're a colonizer. You appropriate. So we're going to do it to you. So listen, narcissistic
should really
attitudes.
be about. Yeah, when the discussion should really be about why there's dicks on the castle and the little.
Why is there dicks on the castle? Look, I don't want to talk about that. We're going to leave that aside. The Great Mouse Escape. We're going to leave the naked woman in the window. No, but seriously, it's about projection, right? So that's what they're narcissistic. So these fucking leftists, these far leftists, they point the finger at someone else and go, "You're a racist, you're a colonizer, you're an appropriator," dig up all the shit from the past that don't fucking mean shit today, right? And then use that as an excuse to make the changes that they make, which are ideologically driven and meant to attack a segment of the population, and then play the victim and continue to point the finger and project their own ists and isms at the audience or the former fans or fans of the original content. It's all narcissism, bro. It's all narcissism. These people making the Acolyte, these people making Black Mermaid, Snow Brown, they are narcissists.
Of course they
who are intentionally creating this content as an excuse to create negative fuel. Yeah, that's all they're trying to do.
They find the most emotionally disgusting people to hire as actors in these things too, and then they go out on their press junkets and just talk a bunch of bullshit.
Let's talk a little bit about that, bro. You're talking about people that are trying to get into an industry that they may have loved when they grew up. Like, I want to be an actor. Like, that's legit. And so you take these now, right? So if they grew up in it, they've already been passed around the Hollywood circles, if you know what I mean. Right? So they're already fucked up in the head. And if they are coming into it like Jennifer Lawrence did at 15, when she came in early, and then they get passed around, and or they have to look. Where's J-Law now? She's fucked up. She's fucked out. You know what I mean?
Yep. She's a good candidate for you, buddy.
I want Jennifer Lawrence. I would so pregnate that bitch. Anyway, so let's say that you come into Hollywood and you are 17, 18, 19, and you didn't grow up in Hollywood. Well, at that point, you have to acclimate to the environment around you. So you're being told by your press agent, you're being told, and you're in an environment where everyone's like picking their nose and going, Donald Trump's a racist, all this fucking bullshit, right? And you have to follow the crowd or you don't get hired. It's a culture of disgusting. And eventually, and think about this, eventually, if you're an adolescent and you acclimate to that atmosphere, you're going to find out that they go to groves and drink gold juice and do things with kids and all this. Think about and that puts on those people. That is why we have these insane statements coming out of Hollywood from these far leftists. This is why they talk the way they do. They're all fucked up in the head. Yep. Burn Hollywood to the fucking ground, man.
They literally got with the program.
Burn them to the fucking ground. And one of the reasons why even though it's Disney, I don't give a fuck who wants to give me shit. Go suck my fucking Dragon Balls. Deadpool. I love Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds, not part of that system.
That was
that
was such a great
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman, not a part of that system.
Right.
Well, I'm saying, right.
That's how come that movie was so significant and so different, because they're not playing.
They're not
the same rules.
They're not part of that fucking system. They are not. There are actors out there who are not. What's the name of the guy that's Star-Lord? What the hell's his name? Chris Pratt. Pratt, right?
Yeah.
Chris Pratt,
by the way.
Not a part of that system. Very, very Christian man. Christian values in the good sense of Christian values. Exactly. Not a part of that system. There are good actors and actresses out there.
Well, there are, and it's just like one of those things. Like
Mel Brooks. Mel Gibson.
Oh, Mel Gibson for sure.
Mel Gibson called those motherfuckers out. And they made him look crazy for it.
Right on TV, like right when he was getting them too. Yeah, I love that. Jim Carrey's one of them too. Dave Chappelle, and these are all people who have been publicly crucified.
Dave Chappelle said, no, thank you.
Yep.
I don't want to go to Pedo Island. No, thank you.
No, they turned them down, and they tried to make him look crazy. Oh, he went to Africa and got nuts with some, you know.
Look at people who went through it, and look at people who went through it now, and you know, like shit, Amanda Bynes. You know what I mean? All the grapey shit that she went through. Look at the fucking Nickelodeon kids. You know, look at the fucking Disney kids. Like they're all fucked up, man.
Well, and think about those kids they put in that Cuties movie. What the fuck is going on?
Holy fuck, Cuties, Jesus Christ! Well, look at France, dude. They're fucking opening the borders to every fucking degenerate out of the Middle East, and then wondering why their population is getting great.
Well, you saw that shit at the opening ceremonies, right?
No, I didn't. What happened?
They openly mocked the Last Supper. A bunch of like alphabet people.
The fuck out of here.
Yeah, go look it up on YouTube after the show.
Oh my god. Why the fuck would you do that? You know, like I get it, but no, you don't do that. Like fuck.
Yeah. You know, and it was a joke, but it's pretty much the same thing where it seems like the only religion it's okay to make fun of is Christianity.
And that's not cool. I'm not down with that. I'm down for pointing out inconsistencies when I'm attacked.
Absolutely.
But no, that is a belief system, whatever we think of it, that has been around for almost 1700 years now.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people believe in that. A lot of good things have come from it, and believe me, I am getting a little bile in my mouth saying that. A lot of good things have come from it. And you know, values. It is also the way that I justify it and love it, and love it in my own way. Is it is the continuation of traditions that have lasted for 5,000+ years.
Well, we talk about how, you know, paganism was robbed by Christianity, but in a bizarre way. Because Christianity did that, it's preserved. Yeah, you know. Now you have people like you who actually know. But the people who don't know, they don't really realize what they're doing or why they're doing it.
Well, I see.
We were talking about that. What do rabbits have to do with Easter? Well,
right. Well, motherfucker, let me tell you about Ishtar. You dumb fuck. Let me explain to you that Easter is a sex holiday.
Exactly.
It comes from ignorance, first off, also being fed with fear and anger, pointing the finger at someone and saying that's the reason you're oppressed, which is an old ploy. That is an old ploy that's used by toxic individuals. But I mean, even myself, I was a young, angry pagan. When I began to educate myself on the history of my peoples and Christianity, I was antichrist for quite a while. Proudly antichrist for quite a while.
Sure. Well, we talked about your young lesbian years.
But that yeah. My lip-listed moon worshiping. Hi. Listen, but I'm under the moonlight. Sky clad bitches. Listen, but eventually you get to a point where you mature and you begin to, like, if you're a real witch, in my opinion, if you're a real witch, you begin to understand that mentality means as much as your spirituality, your physical body, how you represent yourself in the world, how you see things, how you manifest, how you cast. And once you begin to understand those things, and as well as you should be learning the wheel of the year, you should be learning what the holidays and what they mean, the different representations of source through creator. And by that point, you should be able to look at other belief systems and see the beauty in them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that, you should get to that point.
That's the thing too. If you're talking about like casting and like making manifest your will and moving around energies and all that kind of shit, it's coming from somewhere. It's coming out of you, and you have to be responsible for what you put out there because it's gonna come back.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I went from a point in my life where I fucking saw Christmas and was like, "Fuck you," you know, it's like, right? No, you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. You are pagan as fuck. I went from that to thoroughly enjoying the holiday because I understand, you know, why the interpretation of Yule is what it is now.
Right.
And where it came from and how it has survived, and that it is a very beautiful holiday. I can look at a manger scene and go, "Oh," and understand what that means. you know what I mean? So it's when you have people, I mean, I know it's different than the LGBTQ, whatever the fucks, but when you have people with mental fucking disorders, and by mental disorders, I don't mean gay. People who have mental disorders who are doing things like that for attention, those are just a bunch of self-absorbed, selfish, egotistical people who fucking hate themselves. Out there trying to make a racket and blame somebody else because they need to generate hate because they want attention to energize their false facades.
That's
you know what I mean?
absolutely
And at the expense of children or people who may be ignorant, not of any negative value to others' belief systems or the history of their own system, who get value, morals, love, spread love, compassion, empathy through that belief system.
right.
Those people mocking that scene are evil.
Yeah,
They're
I
bring
agree.
back fucking dueling because you just hurt the values of families. You just put a negative tone again for children. You just hurt children on the most
Yeah.
basic level. What the fuck is wrong with you?
You think about our nation and the founding documents, and religious freedom was one of those things that was very, very important to geniuses like Thomas Jefferson.
Yes,
You know,
and they were spiritualists. You
yes,
know what
they
I mean?
were.
You're talking
Yes, they
about
were.
spiritualists at the beginning of the fucking country before we were even a country who understood we need to have universities because we know what happens when a religion runs a fucking government. But at the same
Exactly.
time, all men are created equal under God.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
You know, but
Enlightened. Enlightened.
it's that
brothers.
it's that whole thing where George Carlin made that point. It's like God created the entire universe, but he needs money. Okay.
He needs more, right,
Yeah.
right. And that's the
Yeah.
fucking gaff of religion, the gaff of
Yeah.
what religion has become. And I'm not saying that in any of the ancient pantheons that didn't happen. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that you will probably find a hell of a lot of more purity in the polytheistic religions of old than you will the monotheistic new religions.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially Catholicism is the foundation is like guilt and the assumption that we're all born into sin, whereas a lot of the pagan systems were closer to the earth energies, like we were talking about earlier in the show.
But then there's also the crazy fuck my life, what's going on contradictions of Islam, right? Right. So Islam on one hand, you have some of the most horrible, brutal, merciless, expansionist killers, marauding fucking killers of all time. Like Hun level fucking killers. And then on the other hand, you have philosophers philosophers, politicians, lawyers, and medicine men who if they had to stay within the realm of Islam, of Allah, were allowed to prosper in ways that in Europe was just unheard of as far as architecture, science, and medicine. So
well, again, you have to read the book and look at it as like a historical document and realize that this is a treatise on how to create like a warrior sort of theocracy. And
well put.
Yeah, and put like the pain of death because you're righteously convinced of your own correctness. And
that is where ego comes in, and that is when connection to source becomes severed.
Yeah, well, it's a trip because like I don't think like any individual Muslim is necessarily evil, but like when you look at the historical documents and you can read halfway through the book where they just flip the script and just start reacting to the older religions. They're like, yeah, all that stuff happened before, but now this is the latest. So get with this program or your head's going to come off of your shoulders.
Listen, all of these come from a belief system which started with a guy who heard voices in his head, told him to burn his son alive and mutilate his penis. So don't expect too much. And a lot of, it goes all the way back to Judaism. All right. Yeah. Plagiarism. Yep. Judaism from its beginning took almost all of the shit from other religions. They took
Yes,
it from
they did.
Egypt. They took it from surrounding belief systems. Those that the prophets of the Old Testament have different names in older fucking regions. You know what I
Yes, they
mean? Like,
do.
and then they continued on with fucking Christianity through Catholicism, and then it continued on. Fucking Islam started because Muhammad was living in a fucking town full of Jews, and he was like, "I fucking hate these Jews." He was Jewish, and he was like, "These other Jews are fucking they're the wrong type of Jew. I'm the right type of Jew. We're going to start a new religion." Like, that's what happened. To dumb it down, but that's what happened. You know, it's like fucking Muhammad was a Jew.
Yeah. Well, and
Jesus
you look
was a
at
Jew.
again, and you also need to examine the region in which these philosophies were devised. It's very difficult to live out there. I mean, you were talking about this last week, how like
Fucking
God
sand
sent
religions
his,
are hard, man.
yeah, he sent his chosen people out into a land that had no food. Like, what the fuck is up with that? Like, they would have to beam like magic mushrooms from space to them. You know, and it's in the fucking Bible. If you read it, it's right there. You know, they say that that's what happens, and then God gets pissed off whenever they eat something else, and he orders Aaron and Moses to kill half of his people. You know, so it's a lot of interesting stuff, man. But
and I know we just went down a road clowning Abrahams, but listen, still, even though I know and believe all this stuff, all right, go attacking a person's belief system is wrong. It's wrong. Like straight, like disrespecting and attacking it, wrong. Debating it, fine. You know what I mean? Yeah. But listen, you don't pass on pain.
Right. I mean, you have to open-mindedly examine the limitations of your philosophical system. And
absolutely.
Hopefully that's a lifelong process, and you continue to refine your character as you age and grow and all that kind of stuff. But people get stuck in the like you were saying, my God has a bigger dick than your God.
My God has a bigger dick than your God. There's no excuse for killing somebody. It's no excuse. And listen, I understand. I know that like one of the biggest arguments I get from people when I get this type of debate with that are monotheists, the first thing that they say is, "Oh, what about Odin? What about Thor? What about the Vikings and shit?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying they didn't do that shit. I'm not saying they didn't do that. I'm not saying the Druids didn't have human sacrifice. They had the king for a year. Like I mean, like I get it. What I'm saying is that when it comes to the all-encompassing expansionism of, I love how you put this, warrior theocracy.
Yes.
We live in a time which is a product of the expansionist religions of the West and the Middle East. We are where we are.
Yeah.
Had it been Vikings, had it been Druids, I can't tell you. Maybe we would be in the same place. I can't tell you.
Well, and it's trippy. I was telling you about those. It's a historical fiction series where they kind of base like fictitious characters around like actual historical characters, but England very, very nearly got conquered by the Danish, and had that happened, we would have all been like worshiping the old gods. Like,
I don't know about that. I honestly, I mean, that's a possibility, but I don't know about that, because look at what happened when they settled.
Yeah.
Look what happened what did they do?
They eventually became the same people. But it's also that kind of thing. Like I hear people all the time say like, yeah, if we didn't like enter the war when we did, we'd all be speaking German right now. Maybe
bullshit.
Not.
Bullshit. We wouldn't have. Bullshit. America had no fucking business in World War II. America had no, we
just wanted to get after those Nazi scientists is what we wanted.
The Nazi scientists, right? Let's destroy all the fucking Europeans, and then, fucking Britain is fucking, barely holding on. Although Britain, I will have to say, even though a siege mentality is eventually self-defeating, under Churchill was fucking phenomenal. Like their defense was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, well, they went from being completely fucked to being like a world power within like 5 years. So
yeah,
they did something right.
But America, like, let's understand what was going. Understand why Japan entered the war. People think that Japan just like up and was like, "Oh, we're going to kill everybody." No, understand that Japan, that little ass country, was over there whooping China's ass,
Oh, yeah.
whooping the ass of a country that was fucking what, a gazillion times bigger than it.
Yeah.
All right, holding it down. And then what happened? Well, the British and the Americans started funding the Chinese covertly.
Mhm.
And then America said, we're not going to sell you any more oil, Japan, and we're going to
Right.
kind of cut off all your supplies of oil too.
Right.
But we're still cool with you. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Look at what happened with fucking Germany.
Are you gonna build us some fucking VCRs, or do we got to nuke your ass?
We're gonna nuke your ass, right? And then fucking right. And then on the other side of the world, fucking Germany told us so many fucking times, please do not send civilian ships.
Yeah.
They put advertisements
Yep.
in motherfucking newspapers. Look, do not get on a fucking cruise ship and come over here. And what did we do?
Oh yeah.
Lusitania. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
it the power of a smear campaign, the power of fucking propaganda is insane. And I'm not saying
creating fall guys so that you can implement the solution that you wanted to implement the entire time. Yeah.
False flag campaign, false flag events like that. But you look at, I'm saying Hitler's wrong. I'm not saying he was right or wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
He was an asshole. I'm saying he needed to go down.
Yeah, he needed to go. That was a bad tourist. We don't own him. We don't take him. No. He's not a good tourist. He was a psycho meth addict tourist. And you know what? And now that I think about it, maybe that narcissist was putting things up his ass. Maybe we should do maybe a clip or a video, our content, but on Dragonstorm talking about Hitler, the meth addict, male tourist narcissist, putting things up his ass. Did Hitler put things up his ass? Was he getting pegged?
He might have been.
I'm sorry. Rainbow Hitler. Holy fuck. Okay, so what I'm saying, if I was going to upset the gays, listen. I'll just go one thing. About 8 months ago, I'd say 7, 8. No, was it? Yeah, about 6 months ago, I was clowning Rainbow Dragon so hard. I have the text still. That he sent me text telling me that he was contacting LGBTQ YouTubers to get them on his side because I was being a homophobe.
Oh.
Wow. Now, this is also a man who says, I'm not putting things in my ass. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Then why are you going that route? Like, what are you saying? He called JDA.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And she got mad at him. She was like, don't talk to him. Oh my God, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Don't talk to him. Nothing. I don't know if anything came of it, bro, but I could only imagine the explosion that would happen if Rainbow Dragon got on fucking Della Rosa's channel. I'm just saying.
Oh, man.
Oh, God, that would be like idiot fucking carnival.
Yeah, we'll pray that doesn't happen. I pray it
does.
That's the whole sphere of YouTube that I don't even fuck with, man.
No, but I do. I throw my dick at it. You know what I mean? Now and again.
I know you have to. It's kind of like where you came from.
I am LODONIS, Ravenwolf, Dragonstorm, Narcissist Slayer. I will throw my penis at those flying monkey narcissist motherfuckers anytime I want now. And I have allies over there, War Campaign, and a whole bunch of other people that hate those motherfuckers too. So I'll go to war. Don't think Walton won't go to war, y'all. I'll go off. These motherfuckers have no idea. It's not the dick. It's the balls.
It's the balls. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we have been going about 2 hours.
Holy shit.
Plus.
That's why I'm going crazy. I'm sorry, I got straight.
Yeah. Well, no, it's all good. We've actually had audience people saying that they're signing off and great show, have a good night and all that kind of stuff.
That's because we started going dark.
Oh, we did. Well, and we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be doing the Sage and the Savage, where we get a little bit more visceral. I try to keep the show in a certain focus here, but sometimes it gets away. Sometimes
Walton lost his mind in the last 20 minutes. I'm sorry.
Sometimes.
Yeah, my bad.
We love you anyway, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, man.
But yeah, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you and what's on your plate. Go for it.
You can find me over at LODONIS Dragonstorm YouTube, where we do live streams every week. We're going to be resuming Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Heroes next Sunday, but this Sunday, today, we're going to be doing the Sage and the Savage. take a look at my natal birth chart because it's really interesting and see why I am as nuts as I am. You can also find me on author Stephen Walton. Going to be resuming Rogue Entertainment. It's a couple weeks off. Going to be doing that this coming up week, looking at a review of Deadpool and any other relative topics in the entertainment industry because I'm a glutton for punishment. And you can also find me Dragonstorm TikTok, Dragonstorm Instagram. Guys, if you are looking for any coaching sessions, if you have been a victim of, a target of narcissistic abuse, used by a psychopath, sociopath, please hit me up. And I am now booking for coaching sessions. So thank you very much for being here. Greatly appreciate you. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And never again suffer that fool. Oh, yeah. Wash your hands. Wash your ass.
Always have to do that. It wouldn't be a night without, you know, there's actually people who joke that they forgot to wash their hands in their ass because Steven forgot to tell them
That's right.
night. So, but I do want to say hail to the chat. Thanks for coming out. We had a good number of you that stayed pretty much the entire time, which is good because I still need the watch hours. I still need about 500 something hours to get monetized. Sub count's doing pretty good. I'm starting to do stuff like Steven's suggesting and trying to use the other social media platforms to sort of cross-pollinate. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you guys. We're here for you and we're here because of you. So don't forget to hit a like on the channel, share out the stream, drop us a comment, especially after the show ends and you can go back and start doing real comments. Other than that, I'd like to, one last time, raise it high. Here's to us. What's like us? Not a goddamn thing.
Wash your hands. Wash your hands.
And you guys have a good night.